Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. So, if you've ever read the book The Way Things Work or watched the show How It's Made, you're probably going to enjoy my next guest. His family's business focuses on selling and maintaining machines for production factories, bottling and canning facilities, breweries, and other businesses sort of like that. We also talk about beekeeping, keeping chickens, cool cars, proximity flying, and streaming video games as a way to make a living. Give it up for my buddy, Sven Straessle. Hey.
Hello?
Hello? Are we live?
Is this on?
Am I on air?
Hello?
All right, brother. How's it doing?
Do you want to restart that? Because I was tapping my mic as you...
No, this is how I want it to be.
All right, that's fine.
I want it to be
I was doing a
ridiculous
mic check.
like this the entire
Mic
time.
check.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah.
All right, so talk to me about the name of the business, what you guys do, and just a little synopsis and overview of it.
Okay. So our company name is Rotec Tools. We actually have two separate companies. It's Rotec Tools and also ECT Technology that are two different fields. The Rotec Tools is in the machine tool industry, and then the ECT is in the can making and can filling industry. So I guess originally how we got into it was, so it's a family company. It's owned by my father, and my mother is part owner. So originally in the early and mid 80s, my father worked for a company in Switzerland that did they made machinery for the can industry, and they eventually needed somebody here to head up their service department. So they asked him if he'd be willing to go ahead and come here to the U.S. for 2 years, and he agreed. So he moved all of us. Actually, it was myself, my mother, and my sister. She's 2 years younger. So we were 5 and 3 at the time. We moved here for 2 years. We signed a contract. After the 2 years, they asked him to help out some more. He agreed again, at which point they knew we're never going back. So, so he agreed to another 2-year contract, and 30 years later, we're still here.
So you're a successful immigrant, huh?
Successful immigrant. Legal. We have the green card. We have all the documents. But now we're all citizens. We all finally did the citizenships and everything.
Why did you decide to pursue it instead of doing something else like after college?
So, well, first of all, I guess originally I was kind of bouncing all over the place. I didn't know if I wanted to go to school any further, and then eventually I did, and I kind of took the long route. I think my college took 5 or 6 years instead of...
Oh, you're a 5-year college person too? Yeah, that's same with me.
So I started off down at Westchester Community College, did 2 years down there. Then eventually I went up to SUNY New Paltz for electrical engineering, did 2 more years up there. Then I bounced down to Iona in New Rochelle and did 2 more years down there. So for business.
Actually, I had no idea that you went to those other 2 colleges. I thought you were just at Pace for some reason.
No, Justin went to Pace. I went to...
oh, okay.
Yeah, I kind of bounced all over.
Gotcha. So what did you do?
But then, I guess after that, I worked for a company that was also right next to where my father's business is. They also do something very similar, but they're not competitors. And I was helping them do repairs in the field, and I kind of enjoyed working on the machinery. And then eventually the person that worked for my parents quit, or I don't remember. I think they quit. Yeah. So there was a spot open, and I took the step into it. It's more of a, I guess this side of it was more of an office job type side. I do spend some time on the road, usually like 1 week a month or so on the road, but the other side of it was more getting my hands dirty every single day and working in the shop, whether it's 100 degrees in the shop or 40 degrees in the shop. I was out there in the shop every day.
I know you travel significantly more than most of us and our friends, so it's... What did you do when you were in college for electrical engineering? What exactly did that entail?
I didn't really do very well in that. No,
and here we are. Yeah.
And here we are. No, I did all right with all the electrical courses.
Okay.
But then it was all the further stuff, like the calculuses and everything. I passed some of them, and then the other ones I was just kind of hitting C's.
What sort of electrical things were you doing though? Like, not when I think of electrical.
Yeah, they teach you how to do circuits, and
okay.
It was fairly basic because I only did it for the first 2 years, but I spent most of my time doing like the electives in those first 2 years. Right. And that's why I eventually got into the marketing side of it, because I actually was taking a lot of marketing electives. So eventually I was like, this is actually more fun. So I bounced over.
I gotcha. Yeah, when I think of electrical engineering, for some reason, the only thing my brain focuses on is like home electrical.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like messing with light switches and like things like that. So.
And I like to do that too.
Oh yeah, and you're great at it. Shout out to Brian.
Shout out to Brian's
in his
bathroom.
Yeah, I bit you right in the finger.
Yeah.
I gotcha. That all makes sense. Were there any challenges when you first started? I mean, knowing I know you personally, obviously. Was there some? And I feel like you're a good fit for that sort of job. But was there anything that you kind of had to overcome, whether it be?
I would say just having meetings where I was kind of in charge of the meeting. That kind of was very strange at first. Like you'd go into a can plant or a factory or something, and people would sit down and you'd have to present something to them. That was always kind of strange at first, especially just getting into it. It helps, it helps when you focus kind of on one product and that product like the back of your hand, and then you can go in there and really be confident. But the problem is we have so many products. I think we have a total of about 15 companies or so that we represent in the 2 different companies that we have. So I mean, I'm not an expert in any of those 15. I'm fairly decent at like 3 of them,
right.
or maybe 4 of them. So presenting those, I had no issues, but presenting some of the ones that I hardly deal with, that's so difficult. You go in there with brochures and they're all staring at you, and you're like, well, these machines can do this.
Got it. So trying to learn like the product line and what
exactly.
it does.
It's so in depth.
Right, and maybe not even what it does is. I feel for you too. It could be a portion of relating what's important to the person that might be buying it.
Exactly.
Because you may think like A, B, C, and D is really important about the product, but they don't care about it at all. They think about.
Also, they throw you a curveball question, and I'm like, oh, okay,
right.
I never even thought about why that would be a problem.
That makes sense. So, as far as what you guys sell, what would you say is like, I don't know, maybe either the most popular by volume or the most popular by price, or like what's your bread and butter? I guess
our bread and butter right now is a company called Affolter. They manufacture machinery to make very small gears. So in Switzerland, their main customer, of course, is Rolex. And there's a few other big watchmaker companies. They sell their machinery to these watchmakers. They also sell gears, so they make their own gears as well. They have 2 different divisions. So, so that here in the U.S., there's of course not any watchmaking. Nobody's making an actual gears here in the U.S. for watches. Most of the watches that you see that are like made in the USA, but most of the gear train is all assembled and made in Switzerland. So for here in the U.S., we had to find a new market for these machines, which turned out to be the medical and aerospace industries. So we sell these machines to companies that make tiny gears for airplane cockpits, and so we basically make all the gears up to about 2 inches in diameter.
When you said small, I thought you were talking about like 2 inches plus, not microscopic. I mean that's wild.
When we have actually a display thing that we show at trade shows, and we have this it's like a little glass case with a microscope on it, and you can see inside. And when you look through the little glass thing, it looks like a speck of dust. But when you look through the little lens, you can see that it's an actual gear made. So like you can put an entire day's production basically in the palm of your hands and barely even realize that you have anything in your hand, but it's many thousands of dollars worth of tiny gears.
I feel like I remember you telling me about that and just being blown away by it, because that's not only small, that's got to be precision.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember when we first started talking about like what it is that you guys exactly sell, I remember you said rotary tables, and the first thing that came into mind was like that, like I don't know why, that router that you would have in shop class in high school.
The one that you go along the edge of the wood.
Yes, you edge pieces of wood, which I guess, I mean, if you think about it, it's sort of the same thing, just upside down and really precise and really small, right?
Yeah.
I mean, am I in line there at all? Or
they, not really small. They can go from really small ones to ones that you could put a car on top of and rotate a car around in circles.
Jesus
but no,
Christ.
Those are a totally different. So that's another product line, the rotary tables. Those are, they basically take apart. So you buy a milling machine or any kind of a grinding machine or anything like that, a big machine, and normally they're 3-axis machines. So the part stays put, and the machine kind of goes over and goes in one direction, the other direction, and up and down. So it's only got the 3 axis. Well, a rotary table then grabs the part, and you put the rotary table onto the machine surface, and then the rotary table can position the part into basically any axis. So you can have a 4th axis and a 5th axis, so you can get all the way around the part in every direction. It's what they use these a lot for, like if you ever seen like turbine blades, like they're super intricate and they
like
curve around in a corner.
Like on an airplane you're talking about. Like, oh, okay, right.
They're very intricate and they twist. And in order to get that twist correct, they actually have to turn the part as they're machining it. So it's it's pretty intricate.
I never knew that. I mean, if you were to ask me to describe a turbine blade, I'd say, yeah, it looks like a big fan, like a house fan, you know?
Well, even a fan has a bend to it, and they
That's true, yeah.
They machine that. They don't twist the part. They actually machine that.
Right. What part of the product line that you guys sell are you most excited about? Like, what's something that, oh, man, I wish I sold more of these. These are really cool.
That we sell... Well, I mean, actually, I guess... The one thing that I wish we could push more is the one that you and I sell together, is the Similube lubricators. Because that is a constant repeat business. There's not a whole lot that you and I have to do to get that customer. And once they do start ordering, they just keep repeating, the purchases. They're these lubricators that you attach to any grease fitting for like a bearing on a machine or something like that, and it goes. What was that?
That's the router that I have where the battery is dead.
Oh, wonderful!
And it just beeps once every like 15 minutes. I feel like. Yeah. Shout out to Verizon who said the battery is not under warranty, even though it's in their router that I rent from them.
What?
Yeah. So
they make you purchase a new battery?
Yeah. Isn't that fun?
How much is the battery?
$50, something crazy. Yeah, it's like a router. Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I just don't even hear it anymore. Seriously.
Oh, really?
Like,
you just zone it out?
Yeah, you're looking at it. I'm like, what are you looking at? Like,
there was a beeping noise. Why did a beanbag? Anyway. He's got a random beanbag in his studio.
That's actually a fart bag. We could talk about that later.
All right, deal.
I'm actually going to add it to the list of things that we talk about.
I'm totally interested in why you have a fart bag hanging from your wall. I lost track. Where were we?
The lubricators. Yeah. They are interesting. So when you showed me those, I was like, I haven't seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out of my wheelhouse and what I do, obviously.
Yeah.
But it also seems like a kind of unique product too. So it's
And so what's interesting about what we do together is, I guess Jerry is very good at putting things onto eBay and Amazon and yeah. And so he goes ahead and he gets a lot of sales through those avenues, and it works out really well for both of us. We split everything, and yeah, it's been working out pretty well.
Yeah, I like them. I mean, it's like you said, it's a no nonsense sort of thing. You know? And my range of things that I've sold are from motorcycle equipment all the way to like language translators, and as far as that goes, there's no intense customer issues. Whereas language translators were way worse.
Once in a while, somebody would order the wrong one, but that's on them.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty chill. That's what. Yeah. As far as chill customers go, I feel like the manufacturing business is more chill.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Than people trying to buy language translators. Let's say on the opposite side of that, that's inherently weird.
No, so yeah, one of the other sides of the customers, like I mentioned, or sides of the business, like I mentioned before, is the ECT, which is on the can making side, and on that side of it, it's we have some products that do that close the cans. So most cans need a lid, and in order to close that lid, it's a pretty intricate machine. So the one of our biggest ECT products that we sell is Imeta, and Imeta is a manufacturer of steamer parts. So they actually make the parts for those steamers.
Oh,
close the cans.
That's what you were showing me, right? And wasn't there the diagram of like different ways they can crimp the top of the can or something like that?
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
I like seeing stuff like that because I feel like that's one of those things where like 99.999% of the population will never know that like there's
never even think about it.
Different ways to crimp the top of your soda can onto the actual bottom part.
Most people don't even realize that there's different types of cans. That there's 2-piece cans and 3-piece cans. I mean, a 2-piece can is like a beer can where the whole body is just one piece. But then if you look at like a soup can, it's actually welded. So it's the metal folded and then welded down the seam, and then at the bottom is a cover that's actually seamed on, and then the top is another one that's seamed on. So it's actually got 3 pieces to it. So
I'm in my 30s, and I just learned like within the last like few years that a lot of soda cans, the whole bottom is just one part that they stamp out like a thing or whatever.
It's
like
a
mold
gigantic stamper. Yeah, it's a huge machine.
That's cool though. I feel like that part of what you guys do is exciting to me because I mean the whole like brewing, let's say, business is like it's interesting to me. It's like you see all of these like local breweries popping up. Everyone's making their own beer. You've
huge.
made your own beer before.
I've made my own beer as well. Yeah.
Right. How'd that
I'm
go?
not saying
why did you stop that? I mean, I haven't had any Sven brew in a while now.
First of all, it took a lot of time. Like start to finish, you're looking at like 5 hours straight, and you need to be able to dedicate the straight hours because I mean you have to do everything in one shot. You can't just be like, I'll come back to this tomorrow.
I see.
So
not like building a model plane.
No, you can't just go and do something else for a little while and come back. No, it's basically 5 straight hours of doing it, and so I was like, okay, with kids, it's not the easiest to get 5 straight hours of uninterrupted time. So, and then on top of that, I had everything stored down in my basement, and I had a nice mud flood down into the basement.
Oh, yes.
And so all my equipment was underwater.
Mud flood of 2019?
18,
19?
I don't remember. It was a mess.
Yeah.
So I
genuinely felt bad for you when you were telling me about that. It was awful.
I had a good foot of just mud in the basement that I had to get out.
Shit.
But so all my stuff was underwater, and I was like, I'm not going to try and rescue any of this stuff. Like it's so hard to like decontaminate stuff. I was like, nope. It's all going in the trash.
Do you have any vintage Sven brew left over? Or?
I think in the basement there might still be one
can
case somewhere. Yeah, I gotta look, but I'm not sure if I would want to drink it now. But
it doesn't get better with time, like a fine wine.
It does, surprisingly. Like if you leave it for like 6 months or so, it's usually the best after 6 months. But now we're talking 2 years or whatever, or a year and a half since I've last brewed. I don't think that it gets better than that after that long time.
You can give it to Brian. He can serve it at his next party.
Yeah, or Mike. Mike likes he likes to do beer reviews on his stream once in a while. So.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, I yearn for the days of a nice review of
Yuengling.
What was it? Yuengling Oktoberfest? Was
yeah,
it? Oh,
something
man.
Weird.
That was a lot of fun. I feel like you've done a lot of like hobbies like that. Well, I know you have. You've done beer making.
Yeah.
Beekeeping.
Yeah.
Geez, there was like another one that I can't remember.
Chickens.
Chicken. Yeah, keeping chickens. Is there anything else like that on your horizon that like you're looking to get into? Or?
I'm getting back into the bees, so I ordered bees again for this year.
Oh, you did? Okay.
The only reason I took the time off from the bees was when I got the chickens for the first year. And so the first year I got the chickens, I had to learn everything about how to keep chickens because, like, to me, I was just like, okay, throw them in a coop and they're good to go. But it turned out, I had no idea that, like, they can get different diseases that you have to be careful for, you have to check out for, and you have to treat them certain ways. And so, I had to learn quite a bit when it came to the chickens. And that all went really well until I left the coop open one night, and a fox decided to eat all my chickens in one shot. He left one alive for some strange reason, which we gave to a friend, but all the others were just basically hollowed out shells of a chicken.
Yeah, that's pretty rough, man. I mean, we have foxes around here, so it's the one time you forget, it's like
for 2 years. I let these chickens out every single morning. I would open up the coop door, and then I'd go to work, and they'd be all over the property, hanging out. And then when I came home from work, they'd be inside their coop. I'd close the door, and that'd be the end of it. Go get the eggs from the coop, and that'd be the end of it. But
so you didn't really think twice about it.
One night, decided to come home, didn't remember to close the door. That was the end of it.
I mean, for the folks listening that don't know where we don't live in a city or in the woods. We're like kind of in between.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
kind of in between.
So it's not really.
I mean, most people have like an acre, I would think, or less, half acre maybe. But here in this town, you need an acre, and you're allowed to have 6 chickens. You're not allowed to have a rooster, so they have to be 6 hens that you're allowed.
Why is that?
Probably just for the noise complaints, I would assume.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Although you do see actually, if you walk from your office down the bike trail, near wall hours, there's a couple of chicken coops in that area there, and sometimes you'll hear roosters crowing. And I guess as long as the neighbors don't complain, who cares?
Right.
If it becomes a problem for the neighbors, that's when that rooster has to go.
Right.
They do make like collars that you could put on roosters to make it so that they can't crow. So
like a bar collar?
Yeah, it's
really?
very strange. Yeah,
it probably zaps them the first time they do it and never do it again.
I think it just constricts their throat so that they can't release the. I don't know.
It's like a choke collar for chickens.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. I never.
They still try, but it just sounds really weird and doesn't make any noise really. So.
Right. Is that something you find getting into these hobbies too? Is because let me back up. You mentioned that I thought you'd just get chickens and you put them in a coop and that's good. And when you said that, the first thing that popped in my brain was like, oh yeah, that's how it works. You gotta water them and feed them, right?
Yeah, right.
Is there things like that you found with some of the other hobbies too, like managing bees or like?
I mean, bees are even more intense. Beekeeping
more?
is,
They're
my
insects
God.
though, basically.
Yeah.
How are they more
You'd
intense?
think that too, but they can also get so many types of different diseases that you have to constantly watch out for.
Mm-hmm.
You have to treat them different ways. You can't treat them all the same way. You can't treat them year after year the same way. There's just so much that's involved in beekeeping that I didn't know either. When I first got the bees, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put a box in my woods right there, and then leave them be. But you have to feed them at certain times a year to make sure that they have enough nutrients to last certain times. And in the wintertime, the problem can be mice getting inside the. They don't even care. The mice will just climb inside and just start eating all the honey. And so yeah, you have to put in mice guards in the front of the coops or in front of the hives. So there is quite a bit more with beekeeping than I expected as well.
What do you mean by treating them differently? Just like the feeding routines, or
no? You actually have to. So certain things you can actually treat with like powders that you spread onto the hive.
Okay.
They make things that you can put into the water solution, the sugar solution that you can feed to them. They can get mites. The mites will kill them.
Bees can get mites.
Yeah, so they get these little.
Isn't that what dogs get?
I'm not sure.
Fleas,
if it's the same.
mites, and ticks, or something like that.
Yeah.
And that with the collars say on them?
I'm not sure if. Yeah, I don't think I could put a dog collar onto every single bee that we have, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But no, it's something similar.
New business idea, everyone out there: dog collars for bees.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, you'd have to sell millions per hive.
That's funny. See, that's another thing that I learned too. Is I had no idea that bees would be harder than chickens because the chickens, you know what I mean? It's
chickens you could just let out and they'll just eat all day long and then throw them back inside. And
fair. What was the problem that I know you had a problem with rats? Was it the cold one year with the bees?
With the bees, yeah. So I guess it's the first year. I remembered to wrap my bees with a special tar paper. It's kind of the same tar paper that you put around on the first layer of the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tar paper that you wrap around and kind of protects the hive from any drafts and so on and so forth. But the problem can also be moisture.
Okay.
So the bees are constantly moving in a giant, I guess, blob around the entire hive, eating as they go along. Whenever there's no pollen, whenever it's the wintertime, they just kind of move along their hive, eating all their reserves. And they move as a group, and that creates quite a bit of heat and humidity, and the humidity can actually kill the bees.
So how do you reconcile that? I mean, it's, on the one hand, you need to insulate them, but on the other hand, they can't get too humid. So what do you
don't want them to be freezing. You don't want. So there's a really. Well, I mean, that's why it's kind of difficult. It's a delicate balance between the two. Do
they make any sort of like products for that? Like, what would be interesting is if they made some sort of like little fan that like kicked down once the humidity got too high or something like that.
They make like roof vents. So there's like a tiny little vent that you could put underneath your lid that leaves just a small hole, which makes it so that the air can circulate and pass right through, but not too much air. So it's just a small draft from the entrance all the way up and through and out the top.
Okay, so it won't reduce the temperature. It
does a little bit, but I mean it at least dries up any moisture and gets the moisture out.
Okay, that makes sense. So was there any other hobbies like that you were eyeballing, or?
Not at the moment. I guess cars used to be the hobby, and
right. Well, I know you're getting back into that. I know you were eyeballing a few cars for yourself. Is that still on the radar?
That's definitely still on the radar for later spring.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually built a whole carport just for it.
Yeah, God bless you on that.
That was a nice project that I had.
Maybe you want to tell the folks at home about the roofing job that you did.
Oh my God, 2 straight days. Anyway, so that's going to be, I guess, my next step. But yeah, so the bees are coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 2 hives coming this spring. Actually, at the end of April, the hives should be showing up.
Is that 2 separate hives or like 2 layers of it?
2 separate hives. So
okay.
so I have 2.
You never had that many, did you?
I always had 2 at my house.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, and then my parents always had 2 as well. And then my sister always had 2. So.
What do you need to start something like that? Just get get all the equipment and order bees, or is it?
Yeah, it is kind of expensive. I mean, bees. So just a a nuke of bees, which is it's
A
basically
nuke.
Yeah, they call it a nuke.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it's called
That's
a nuke.
like
So there's two different ways
a
you can
group
buy
of
bees.
crows.
Yeah.
You know what a group of crows is,
Yeah,
right?
but no, this is actually package. There's package of bees or
Right.
nuke of bees. So the nuke of bees, so a package of bees is just bees with a queen in it. So it's just a box with a screened box with a whole bunch of bees in there with a queen, and you basically just take them and you just shake them off into your hive, and then that's the end of it. And you close the lid.
Sounds very technical. Just shake them off.
Yeah, just shake them. Yeah, you open up the lid and
Yeah.
just hit.
There we go.
Exactly. you hit the box a couple of times, they all fall off and fall down into the hive, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And the nuke is a little bit more complex, where they actually give you frames. So they actually give you complete frames. I think it's 5. It's usually 5 frames.
What's a frame?
So a frame is what they actually will put their honey into. So they'll actually build their wax and put their honey into. So it's
like those little the inserts that
exactly.
you put into the.
Yep.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yep. So then they actually already have that honeycomb shape to it, and the bees will just build out from that shape already.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice starter for them. So they actually give you 5 of those, which already have wax all built out and honey already stored, and the bees are already working on it. And so you just slide those 5 frames into your hive, and then that's the end of it. But those right now they're about $180 each for a nuke.
So how many do you need?
Well, I ordered 2 for my 2 hives.
One for each hive. You need.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So you don't need
a package of bees is like $120 or something. So it's not cheap to get the bees by themselves. And then your equipment, if you're gonna buy like a starter kit, you're looking at about $350 or maybe even a little more.
So it's not a cheap hobby, but you're saving the world, aren't you? I mean, isn't...
You are, if you can actually make sure your bees stay alive for the winter. If you're just killing bees all winter long, then you're not really helping anybody.
I need to research that more, because I really don't get what that's all about. Like, if all the honeybees die, then everything dies. I mean, is it about pollination? Because, I mean, pollination can be done across animals and stuff, too,
I
like
think
humans.
the honeybees are responsible for about 1/3 of what we eat being pollinated. So
Jesus.
We'd lose quite a bit right off the gate if they all disappeared.
I gotcha. So, although other things can conduct, like, pollination, the bees are extremely responsible for it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So let me bounce back to cars. You were you looking at anything specific now, or
So I guess originally when I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy. This was like a year ago. I was like, I really want to buy a GTR.
Right. Yeah, I knew that.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna look at like an '09 GTR. And I was like, okay, they're selling, if you get one with kind of low miles, they're selling for like $50,000.
Okay.
And which is interesting because they originally in '09 they sold for 65,000 or something like that. So the guys that bought one,
new. Oh my God.
Yeah. So the guys that bought one 10 years ago, they'd barely lost anything. They've
been driving around for like
almost for free. Yeah.
10 grand basically.
I mean, you would lose more than that on a Volkswagen. You bought a brand new Volkswagen now and sold it in 10 years from now, you'll probably lose 25 grand on it.
The second you inch out off the dealer lot, that's it.
So these guys did pretty well. So originally I was looking at an '09, and then I was like, when I started doing the research and I really started to dig into it, and then I found out, okay, there's some minor issues with the '09 that everybody suggests going with a 2012. They changed around some things on the transmission. I think the launch control, they changed it a little bit so that it's not so brutal on the transmission. So everybody's saying just go with a 2012, and then you're looking at about an extra 8 to 10 grand for a 2012, which isn't too bad. But
especially if you might save that in
a transmission bill
cost, in cost for maintenance.
Especially since a 2012 or 2009 completely out of warranty, so you know that you're looking at a $20,000 repair bill if you have to put a new transmission in that sucker.
Right.
So, and then once you start looking at the 2012s, when I started doing that, I was like, okay, and now I'm like, well, if I'm already bouncing up in price to this point, the 2017s is where they changed the whole body style.
Right, which I admire way better.
Yeah, same here.
Like, it's fighter-esque.
So it's like an extra 15 more. So I was like, but it would still be in warranty, which is nice, and you'd have a lot less miles and a newer body style, and just so right now I'm eyeballing a 2017 GTR. I really like the orange.
I like orange too.
Yeah.
I didn't think you were an orange person. I felt like you're like a gray matte gray.
That's my
gunmetal kind of person.
That would be my second option.
Okay, but you got it because that's not an orange as much as like a burnt orange.
It's a burnt.
Yeah,
they call it like burnt blaze or something, but it's like a burnt orange.
Okay, yeah, that's my favorite. I feel like it would be sacrilegious not to get it in that color.
Yeah,
but, I mean, to each their own, really, right?
It stands out. It's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not like the generic gray or black or white that you see everywhere.
Why did you choose a GTR though?
You know,
I mean, there's so many other things in that
this-
price range. You know.
this stems back so long for me. So I think I was like 18 when the original Fast and the Furious came out, and
What are we on? Like Fast and the Furious 35 now?
I think
or
so.
which one we
Yeah,
at?
yeah. With Vin Diesel's child probably being the role. I don't even know. So anyway, so back then they always had the GTR R34s, which have been a car that's illegal here in the U.S. and I have always dreamed of one day owning. And they will be legal finally in 5 years from now. But so I've always been a GTR.
Why is that? Isn't there some rule where it's like a
they had some sort of rule. It's
classic
a
or something?
25-year rule that they can't be imported. I'm not sure why originally they couldn't even. I don't know if it was emissions purposes or if it was safety reasons. Who knows? I mean, I know that the car was extremely fast, and they claimed, I guess, that their horsepower was only capped out at 280 horsepower, which back in 1999 was insane for a car to have. But they were really dynoing in at much higher horsepower ranges. But so I mean, people have been in Japan have been modifying these things to 1,000 horsepower plus without too much effort.
Jesus.
So yeah, I've always been a GTR fan. And so it kind of stemmed from that.
This isn't on a whim decision that you made when you went to like a
No,
car show or
I've
something like that.
always loved the GTRs, and yeah, so I guess now is finally the time when that may actually be possible to get one. So now I'm gonna move on to that, I guess, to the R35s. Maybe one day I will think about an R34 once they become legal in the U.S. I mean, their prices have been jumping up higher and higher every single year. I guess an R34 right now in Japan is selling for like 50 to 70,000 depending on the conditions.
I wonder what they got it for too. You know, that's you see, that's what I like about certain cars is if you pick the right one, it turns from a hobby, or it turns from a car into an investment. Yeah. You know, which is almost every car is the exact opposite. Yeah. Unless you pick the right thing. You know.
And see, that's why I also wanted a pre-owned as well, because whenever you buy a new one, I mean, a new GTR right now is 120,000. That's the new cost of a 2020 GTR, and so for me, that's completely out of my price point.
Right.
So I don't mind taking a car that's 3 years old or whatever it is, the 2017. Yeah. So I don't mind taking that rather than taking the hit right off the gate of driving it off the lot and losing $50,000 over 3 years.
Right. Yeah, that whole initial hit is one of the main reasons why I don't think I'd ever buy a new car. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'd be more willing to lease a car than I would to buy one straight up.
See, I've never been a fan of leasing.
I mean, I never have, so it's...
You pay forever and you never own anything.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we're car people too. You know what I mean? So if something goes wrong, like, we can get underneath the hood and, like... Yeah. You know?
Plus, I mean, the way I've always been is I wanted to always modify things, so it's like the first thing that's going is the exhaust is going to get ripped out and putting in. So you can't really do that on a leased car. I guess you could, but you'd have to put it all back, and then what? Then you're stuck with a exhaust system for a car you don't even own.
I feel like they might even know also and like void the warranty or something.
Maybe.
Like
I don't
all the
even know.
computers and stuff on there might tell them.
Could be.
I feel like that's one of those cultural things that I'm a little bit sad is going away, is the modification of cars. Yeah. And I feel like I don't know why. I mean, in my brain, it's like, because people don't want to, because you don't need to anymore. Cars are pretty cool nowadays, but like, why would you think why do you think that's going away? I mean,
I don't really know. Maybe it really spurred on with Fast and the Furious here in the U.S. I mean, that was so huge, that movie, and I know for me, I mean, I was driving a stock Honda Accord at the time that movie came out, and as soon as that movie came out, I was like, oh my god. So of course I instantly started to modify the Honda, to...
What, air intake exhaust?
Yep, headers, body kit, wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then that also kind of drove me to buy the Eclipse that I had, the GSX Eclipse. That was what Paul Walker was driving in the first one. I just loved that car. And so eventually I was like, okay, I need to own this car at some point. So the time came around that I was able to pick one up, and that car was so much fun. Loved that car every minute until it blew up.
Well, the transmission, right?
No, the motor.
Oh, it was the motor. Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was
I did blow the transmission, though. Like, I think I had the car for maybe 3 or 4 months when I blew the transmission on it.
Oh, okay, so that was like a quick, let's get this out of the way. Of course, this is going to blow up.
Throw in a new transmission for $3,600.
Right, that makes sense.
That was fun.
I feel like I feel like it's so good that YouTube is out and about these days because it helps making, like you said, you want to make modifications on your
Yeah.
GTR. There's
Oh, yeah.
people on there that will show you how to do
Oh yeah,
that.
and I've already
I know you
watched
watch them, right?
Oh yeah, I've already watched in detail. I mean, even how to do the oil change on a GTR. I mean,
You do it with your eyes closed now? You don't own
probably.
one?
I mean,
Yeah.
because the oil change on a GTR, if you bring it to Nissan, is like $300.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
$300.
Yeah, because they have it's a big
Jesus.
carbon fiber panel under the car that you have
Mm-hmm.
to take off and everything, and it has all these like little bolts and everything that you have to remove, and it's quite a bit of work before you can finally start.
So it's somewhat warranted. That
Yeah.
You have to pay $300.
No, well,
I mean,
yeah.
not exactly, but
It's harder than a normal vehicle, yes, because
Right.
it's got that carbon fiber panel under.
I gotcha. Was there any? I know you were watching a few YouTubers specifically. Are there any that you're still watching, like not religiously, but more often than not?
No, you know what? I think I subscribe to like 3 channels on my entire YouTube. Like, I bounce all over the place when I watch stuff. I don't really care.
So you're not like.
I'm not like a Stradman or something like that. Like,
Okay.
I if I watch his video once, I'm like, okay, I'll watch another one of his videos in like a month from now when when it comes around again.
What makes you pick the video that you watch? It something like related to what you just watched, or is it the person? Or
Yeah, you know, that's kind of interesting. It's kind of sometimes it is like what they suggest to me. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I do kind of want to watch that. But every once in a while, I'm like, why would you
how do they
suggest this?
know?
Yeah, why would you suggest this to me? I have no interest in this. Like, but the problem also is, I guess my kids watch videos and on their tablets or on their computers and stuff like that, and that's kind of connected to my account. So every once in a while, I'm like, okay, I got to delete all these. You know, all of a
So
sudden I got
sometimes they'll suggest like the Wiggles to you, or
yeah,
like Baby
yeah,
Shark,
exactly.
or whatever it is.
And I'm like, I don't want this.
Yeah, you got to make them their own account or whatever, so it doesn't.
It's got like entire
conflict.
rows of like, you may like this because you watched you know, whatever, Pat
Right.
and Jen making Minecraft videos. Like,
Right.
I don't want to watch this.
No. What tell me about, you sent the text this morning. Tell me about the Mad Mike guy. So
Oh, my
So I
goodness.
understand he's a flat earther. I
He is a
understand
flat
that
earther.
he's a daredevil.
Well,
but what
let's,
is he?
let's put it this way: he was a flat earther.
Well,
He passed away yesterday.
yes.
So yeah, so I guess his whole mission was that he was going to shoot himself up in this rocket to prove that the Earth is flat, which I don't really understand because I think his max altitude that he was aiming for was 5,000 feet or something. So I mean, you could just get into a plane and look out the window. You're at 30,000 feet. I think I was at 39,000 feet when I flew back from San Francisco last week or 2 weeks ago. So yeah, so I don't really understand what his whole point was and how he was going to prove that the Earth was flat with this rocket. But yeah, it went wrong on launch yesterday. He took off, and the chute actually deployed on launch and ripped off from the ship. And
Oh, is that what happened in that video? I saw
Yeah.
I saw that, but I thought maybe he had like a reserve.
no, so that was his
No.
main chute that deployed on takeoff, and yeah, ripped right off the shuttle. So then he went up and came straight back down. Like I think he went. It looked like on the video went pretty much head first, point first, right into the floor of his whole little spacecraft.
If you're gonna go, I guess that's
Steam powered. Yeah, and
you don't want to break all the bones in your
and
body
actually
and die 10
the-
minutes later.
the representative that I guess confirmed his death also said that he was a very unique guy, and this is the way he would have wanted to go.
So was he a daredevil beforehand? Like, did he do like motor? Like,
think-
because when I saw that,
I think he was like a limo driver. It said on his
limo
wiki.
driver.
Yeah, that's
so he's not like someone that jumps motorcycles. For
I
a
don't
living
think
or
so.
whatever.
I mean, he was 54 years old. I mean, I don't really know much about him. I just kind
I
of
thought he was in his 60s.
Oh, was he 60?
I thought
Okay,
it
maybe.
said 60 something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a young kid, so
So this is his first stunt. So when I read the thing that said daredevil, that just means like he was
Well,
a
he's
daredevil
launched-
in this.
I think he's launched this before. This craft that he was in.
Oh, he has.
Yeah, I don't.
Was he in it those
Yeah,
previous
yeah.
times? Oh,
Yeah,
he was. Okay. So he was a daredevil then.
Yeah,
I
I
guess.
mean, you got to be a little bit of a daredevil to go ahead and jump into this homemade rocket,
just a
homemade
touch.
steam-powered rocket, and shoot yourself up into space.
Yeah, I can't fathom that whole like headspace that people have like that. And was it Jeb Corliss, the guy that did
Oh,
like
my
the
goodness.
proximity flying and all that stuff like
Those
that?
guys are nuts. Any of those wingsuit flyers are nuts.
Right. I feel like you can't have fear. Like,
No.
You know what I mean? Like
If you second guess yourself, you're finished.
right. They must look at a stunt like that the same way we look at a tiny dog. You know what I mean? Like they're just not. I'm not worried. Like
Yeah, you
whereas
do.
we look at that stunt as like a vicious pit bull or
I
something.
mean, I know you've been hiking before, and you've stood on the edge of a cliff and looked down. And you're like, nope.
Yep. Nope.
These guys
No
come
way.
into these cliffs and they're like, well, okay, maybe if we jump down here and start tracking away from the wall from this distance. These guys are just they're a different breed of human.
It's weird too because I don't know. For me, anyways, like I feel like I would more be inclined to jump out of an airplane with a parachute, but some of these guys, like the bungee jumping, I don't think I would ever bungee jump.
Yeah,
I the can't. Free climbing, people rock climbing without any cables, like that, like I can't. That's not on my radar anywhere. No, there's not. Right, there's people that free climb. They're not climbing up a rope, but they attach themselves via safety cables.
Yeah.
But certain documentaries that you see, they just have nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, I don't trust myself enough in anything. Like, even when I go to the edge of a cliff and look down, I'm like, what if I just jump off, like, by accident? Like, I get that weird thought across my head, like, what if I slip? Like, what if I tripped on this pebble? Like,
that's happened to me. And actually, do you know? Have you ever heard of that whole, like, what it's called? Do you know what that's called?
No, I didn't even know there was a name for this.
It's actually a thing. It's the way they describe it is like when you're driving down the road and you're like, if I just turn this wheel 2 degrees to the left,
head on with a truck.
Right, exactly. It's like that chaotic sort of thing. A lot of people, actually, I would dare to say most people have that. It's called the call of the void.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like,
it's a cool name for it.
You're not gonna, it's not it's different than like a suicidal thought because you're not going to do it. It's more like, what if I just jump?
What if?
What would it be like?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so wild though, man. Those people and that proximity flying is, I mean, that's new. I mean, they haven't been
the last 30 years or so. Yeah, at most.
And I think that's I think part of what was problematic too was the wingsuits. I remember watching, I don't want to say it was a documentary, but just a thing on it saying like the old wingsuits were just terrible.
Oh yeah.
Whereas now they're like highly engineered.
The wingsuits nowadays are expensive. I was looking at a suit from, I guess it was a used suit on Craigslist. I think it was like $10,000 or something like used. So I can't even imagine what it was like brand new. But
Jesus
it's just
Christ,
a
$10,000. That's a decent car.
Yeah.
You can get like a decent used car.
Yeah, and I mean these are. It's the same with the chutes as well, and they're all expensive. Mm-hmm. That's why when they cut away, that's kind of like, okay, they really need to think about it before they cut away. They're like gonna lose their chute.
Mm-hmm. There's got to be like what 3 companies making wingsuits?
I have no idea.
I mean, first off, like it's a very niche thing, and second off, like, all right, who wants that liability?
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
a good point. Yeah,
I feel like if the
disclaimer must be massive.
Oh yeah,
it's like, here's a 1,000-page disclaimer. Can you read it?
War and Peace, like that's that sort of thing. I think that if you had to compare something to a life-saving device, you would use a parachute as an analogy.
Yeah.
Like your motorcycle helmet, that's really your parachute of getting into a crash, So to be a company that actually makes that sort of thing, it's like, man, their legal team must be like, ooh, just perfect,
And their quality control team better be perfect as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't want to be like, oh, I forgot to attach that rope.
Yeah. There's like 3 people. There probably is, though. There's probably like such redundancy in making something like that. I would hope. I mean, I don't know how this stuff goes.
I've never been to a factory that makes parachutes.
Yeah, it could be just a guy named like, Ron.
What's interesting is there was a story in the Swiss newspaper about one of the farmers that lives below a giant mountain that is very, very famous in Switzerland for having wingsuit flyers jump from. And he said he's getting sick and tired because, I mean, it's almost on like a bi-weekly basis that he has his body in his yard that just, something goes wrong and they end up hitting into his property.
Oh my God! Why is
so he's been trying to shut down the mountain to the flyers for a long time. And
what makes a good mountain though? Just like a tall mountain with a dip in a valley or something?
That's probably, you need to have a long. I guess your initial jump, you have to have a really far free fall before you get enough lift under your suit to be able to track away.
So it needs to be like a base jump at first.
It needs to be a pretty far base jump, and then you need to be able to track. So it needs to have a nice slope that's just the right angle. So you've seen like these videos where these guys are tracking like 10 feet above the ground at 120 miles an hour, and they're just staying level with the ground for so long.
Right.
Those are the types of locations that these people are looking for.
Yeah, I guess for folks that are listening and don't know, proximity flying is when you get into a wingsuit, which looks like a sugar glider.
Yeah, sugar glider.
Basically.
Yeah, you become a human sugar glider.
And you try and get as close to the ground as possible while also falling.
Yeah.
And
we've
seen things where exactly that's all it is. But I mean that style is top notch.
When it's done right.
Right, and
when it goes wrong,
you could see things. You see videos where they put balloons out, so you can see which way the wind is going, see how high up you are, and
that's actually kind of what made Jeb originally famous. Is that Jeb Corliss? He's a Yeah, he's a stunt guy, and I guess he flew right through. I guess they had these balloons, I guess 5-6 feet above the guy's head, and he flew and actually hit the balloons as he went by. Oof. So I mean, he missed the guy by a couple of feet at most at 120 miles an hour.
Yeah. He got into an accident, didn't he? A
He
bad
did,
one where
yeah.
he broke like every bone from his
I think
like
it was in
pelvis down.
South Africa. I think it was the Tabletop Mountain or something that's called.
Right.
Yeah, the video is very intense because, I mean, he clipped. He wanted to buzz by an edge and he clipped it and it started doing, I guess, end over end flips, and somehow, in all of this, he managed to pull his chute. Mm-hmm. So he did end up hitting the ground. I mean, his chute opened. He hit the ground at a fairly decent speed. I think he shattered both of his legs in so many places.
Right.
It took him a long time to finally walk again, and I think he's back up and flying again.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. Some people are just survivors,
Yeah.
you know? Like, you hear people that, like, they break a femur and they bleed out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This guy probably broke both of them.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm always, when I watch, like, rally car, it's the same thing. Like, I watch rally car, and I watch a wreck on rally. I'm like, how in the world is somebody alive from this? And then other people do 40 miles an hour and hit, like, a tree branch and die. Mm-hmm. These guys go off the road at 140 miles an hour and flip end over end 100 times and just, like, get out of the vehicle. Nothing's wrong.
I don't even find that part weird. You know what I find weird? The faces that they make, or actually I should say faces that they don't make when they're doing this.
Oh,
Have you
yeah.
ever seen those?
Yeah, they're just
where
calm.
these guys look like they just went into a bank and made a transaction.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Calm
just
as
sitting
anything.
there, you know, eyes aren't wide, their
Yeah.
mouth is just like, oh my God, that's unreal. But yeah, it must be from training and actually crashing a bunch of times.
Probably. They just get so used to it. I don't even know. Like, how do you get used to something like that?
I don't know. I wouldn't. I mean, you have to. That's another thing. I feel like you have to have pretty good faith in
Your equipment.
Yeah, the person
Yeah.
who made it. Like,
All your harnesses, all of your neck gear, all of your... That
and
you
I
know
think they
that...
call that something that you're into, isn't it? Like not a cockpit, but you're in the cockpit, but like a.
I mean, it's a complete
like
roll
safety
cage.
cell
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah.
Like, yeah, that's wild. I mean, I can't even something like that. You know, when they crash, they're not always just like. You think of a car crash in a race is like in I don't know, in like NASCAR, they'll go off the road and
They'll hit like a wall.
right?
Or another vehicle or whatever.
In certain cases, they're like tumbling, going down hills that are like 30 feet or whatever.
There's trees. Like, how do you protect a vehicle from a tree impact? Like, somehow these things hit the trees and their cell is still perfectly intact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's just incredible. I mean, of course, that's not feasible for everyday cars. The amount of money that goes into these cages and it goes into these, and they're also wearing 5-point harnesses. You can't get people to put on a lap belt here in the U.S. half the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Most people, I mean, the fact that we even have to have advertising to buckle your seatbelt is pretty incredible. But
right, you know, that and like helmet laws too is
Yeah.
like I don't know. I'm really.
I go to Connecticut and I almost freak out when I see these guys riding around on a motorcycle without a helmet.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I agree that you should be able to make your own choice, but I also agree. Like, why would you? I also think like, why would you make that choice?
Yeah.
You know, like if I get on a dirt bike and I'm moving at 10 feet, I'll put a helmet on just because like you never know. You could accidentally hit the clutch. Something could.
I move my car in my driveway sometimes and put my belt on. I'm not even realizing. I'm like, oh, I just buckled up to move my car over 10 feet.
Are we old? Is
Yeah,
that what's
I think
happening?
that's probably what it is. Yeah.
When I was saying NASCAR, it reminded me about the order you guys got from what is it, the Daytona 500?
Oh yeah. Joe Gibbs Racing Team placed an order at 3:49 p.m. on Monday, and the race was at 4 p.m. on Monday, and they ended up winning the race.
I thought that was funny. So you guys officially sold to a team that won the Daytona 500.
Yeah. That's gonna be our new slogan. I'm pretty sure you're gonna see it in all the magazines at this point. Buy from us, you will win the Daytona 500.
You're gonna see it next Tuesday, and then next Thursday is when you're gonna be getting the team from their lawyers
Perfect.
about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably just that quick. I was thinking about camping before because we were talking about like beekeeping and stuff like that.
Completely unrelated, but go on.
It popped into my brain. It just popped into my brain because of
yes, they are both
whatever
outside.
Right, but why I want to talk about it, this is also unrelated, but I like the hobby for some reason of what do they call it? Prepping. because
Prepping. Are you talking about like prepping for doomsday?
Yeah, doomsday prepping. Because
Is that a hobby?
Because it is, right?
I don't know. I think it's just a
I
mental
feel
disorder.
like it is. I was thinking about it because I feel like a lot of the stuff that I was watching Doomsday Preppers, right? And I saw they had a backpack and they unraveled it, and like 9 out of 10 things there remind me of stuff from like the camping aisle.
Camping trips.
And I was like, oh man, there's such like a mirror in like what they're doing and what we do, except their whole mentality is like, oh my God, the world is going to end.
Yeah.
You know? Do you have any like?
Yeah, but when we go camping for 3 days, and we run out of supplies at the end of the 3 days. I don't think we would survive.
We don't run out of toilet paper though. But we do bring multiple rolls in case it gets wet or something like that.
Is that why? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I bring.
Okay.
Rolls,
I just figured it was because we go to Taco Bell on the way up or something.
Nah, I mean, Wendy's, right?
It was Wendy's, yeah.
I was gonna say, is there any like thought in your brain to that as a hobby?
To what? Like
prepping?
prepping?
Prepping,
I
yeah.
can't put myself there.
Because I know we have friends that do that. Like,
I do imagine like how screwed we would be if something happened to our electrical systems here in the U.S. Like we'd be so screwed.
Right.
If we had no more power. The gas stations couldn't pump gas. Your whole household would shut down. Like, how long would you survive on the food you have currently in your house?
Mm-hmm. And you're just talking about if the electricity goes down.
Yeah.
Let alone like there are things that I remember hearing. It's called a coronal mass ejection. It's basically like a huge solar flare that can act as an EMP and not only wipe out the electrical
all
grid.
Electronics.
Exactly. Like
your car won't even start.
Basically, that's the whole thought of it. Like, what if not only you don't have electricity, but all the stuff that you backed up on your external hard drive from your computers is just gone?
I mean, out of curiosity, if that flare does happen, aren't we toast as well, or is it?
No, it's because it's not exactly a solar flare. I have to look it up. I remember hearing it on a podcast.
So it doesn't like emit an insane amount of radiation that would just basically cause us to die anyway?
It's not. It's just something that wipes out the electronics, and apparently it happens once every 12,000 years or something like
Wonderful.
that.
When was the last one? 11,900?
11,900
Perfect.
years ago. Well, seriously, they say we're about due for one, but every time they say we're about due for one, it's
anything.
like plus or minus 20,000 years or something stupid.
Yeah.
You know? So
it's the same with the current ice age. Aren't we supposed to be moving into the next ice age at this point?
Yeah, I guess.
I thought we were due for another one.
I don't know. I mean, climate change, global
Who
warming.
knows?
You know, that's one of those things too. Is like there's such like it's so politicized that it's even hard to tell what the right thing is.
Yeah.
You know, because I think what happened too is I think that people started out with a political idea called global warming, and then people put that aside and just said, all right, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what the real thing is okay, climate change is actually real.
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
I think most people can agree on that. So it's like,
whether it's caused by humans or not, it's always been happening since the beginning of time.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Regardless of the reason.
I think more people are worried because of the speed of change in the last 100 years that we've been seeing. That's what's kind of causing people to worry.
Mm-hmm. Right. But it's unfortunate because I feel like the whole global warming aspect of it polarized people. You know, people really bunkered down and said like, you know, no, this isn't global warming. This isn't happening. It's the coldest winter we've ever had. You know, so it's I don't know. It swayed people in one direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to talk about climate change. So annoying. It annoys the
hell
out of
me
too.
We've covered flat Earth. We've covered climate change.
Why do you think people?
Why do you think religion next?
Why do you think people do flat Earth? Like, what do? All right. Let me ask this: what do you think the percentage of people that are contrarians, just like trying to ruffle feathers,
that's
and
probably
what's the percentage of people that think that it's legit?
You know, I almost can't imagine how they really, really think that it's legit. With all, I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And even there are things that they're showing that are proof. When you're looking up at other planets, they're all, they're all circles. They're all round.
Yeah.
They're all spheres. So why would Earth?
But their argument would be that those other planets aren't real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The thing that I always have any of that type of conspiracy theory is who stands to gain from the opposite side, and on the round Earth, who gains from everybody believing that the Earth is round?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody gains from that.
No, it's not like a financial motivator.
No.
It's not moving markets.
No.
Oh, if people find out the Earth is round, all right.
What do they think? There's 10 people on the top of some sort of creepy board somewhere that are saying, "Oh, let's make sure these people still believe that the Earth is round."
I feel like on the opposite end, though, I feel like there is something to gain from being a flat earther, because then you could sell your T-shirts, your mugs.
Okay,
you know,
yeah, there
all
you go.
that
Yeah,
stuff. No, who's selling round Earth mugs?
yeah.
You
It's
know
the same with those.
Maybe, but at this point,
It's the
no.
same with all the small little businesses around Area 51.
Mm-hmm. Oh
It's
yeah.
like whether or not the aliens really did touch down there, they're selling all types of merchandise. They got all types of tourists coming in, and it's
I mean, it's hard to say, because there are, this is the way I look at it too, is that there are people out there like, Elon Musk, or I don't know, let's just say true geniuses, people that
Yeah.
I know are on such a higher brainwave than myself.
Yeah.
So I am not
like a Stephen
surprised.
Hawking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised to believe that there's people also on a lower brainwave, and that people actually believe
No, yeah.
that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So there could be a population of people that have really been convinced that like this is a legit thing.
True.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, you've been up in an airplane,
Yeah.
so you know what I mean?
And my uncle's been much higher in his military jets, and you could see the curvature of the Earth at that altitude.
Right. So being a person that travels,
Yeah.
is there any worry, even a little bit, about the coronavirus?
Not for me. I mean, I was just in California last week. And,
Why is that significant? It's from China, isn't it?
Yeah, but I guess California has been seeing a lot of cases. Actually,
really?
where I was, Santa Clara, they had 2 confirmed that week that I was there.
So there's 2 confirmed where you were.
Yeah, and I decided to bring it.
Jesus!
I decided to bring it straight here to your studio.
My God, the gestation period is like, 15 days?
Yeah.
So you could have it right now.
So right now, yep, enjoy.
So why aren't you worried, though? I mean, it's just such a small instance of it happening, or?
Not just that, it's I mean, like tens of thousands of people die every year from the flu, from just the basic flu. And what have they had now from this? 1,000 people or whatever died from this. Not even worldwide.
No, I think it's more. I think it's like 20,000.
No, that's how many people have been in. I think.
No, I thought it was 20,000.
Really?
I mean, I'd have to look this up.
I haven't been
People at
following up
home
with it at all.
will look it up. I thought it was 20,000 confirmed deaths worldwide, but I could be wrong. But I mean, also, it's one of those things that, as far as I understand, it's affecting old people and children the most.
Yeah. Which is the same as the flu
does.
too, though.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
And people
it's, if it is bad, I feel like it's another one of those things where they sensationalized
Yeah.
it. So at this point where it's like, well, is it really? That's something.
And I mean, it's
concern?
not. The coronaviruses aren't something that's brand new. I mean, there's been other. I think the SARS was a version of the coronavirus as well, and that's one of those things that, like in 2004, I don't know if you remember, the SARS was like, oh my God, this is going to kill everybody on Earth, and everybody was so worried. And
Right.
now nobody even talks about it anymore.
It's funny. I actually watched a South Park episode the other day with SARS,
Really?
and they were joking about it, and they said, "Oh my God, we found the cure," and then they bring out a tray of NyQuil, Sprite, and like cough drops or something like that. I'm totally butchering what it was, but the cure was like a restful
Something
night's sleep.
super simple. Yeah.
And then everyone was pretending like, "Oh my God, we found the cure," and then
Yeah.
the next day everyone was way better. So although it could be like a dangerous thing, it's again these people sensationalize it and they just don't have the
for sure.
facts. So it's like, I mean,
I did see a lot of people in the airport wearing the masks.
Oh,
I was
really?
actually kind of surprised, but I mean, even even the health organization said that the masks don't really help you that much. I mean, it's just in everything. Just wash your hands when you need to wash your hands. Like, just don't eat before you do that, and like, just don't put your fingers in your mouth for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess there's the masks. Plus, the way people were putting the masks on and off didn't really help because you would touch the front of the mask afterwards with your hand, which that's where everything collected.
Yeah, I didn't
wearing it.
realize that. I have a buddy who actually just took a trip to Mexico.
Yep.
And they were considering wearing the mask, and he's a teacher, so he has a little bit of above average knowledge on these sort of things. And
Yeah.
You're saying like it's like even if you put the mask on right, there's little holes on the side
Yeah,
that
of
air's
course.
coming in. It's
Yeah.
just and not only that is a lot of these places they're selling like just generic masks that don't
There's no
cover that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Also, not cover, but
I think there's a special
filter
filter
that out.
that you have to have, and
Right.
it's a special type of mask. But I mean, of course, if I was living in Wuhan, China right now, I would probably wear a mask too,
Yeah.
where it all started
Crap in
and
my
where
pants,
it's
yeah.
exactly. You can't get out. They've quarantined the whole city, so
I haven't verified this, but I was reading it was just a headline of an article that 25% of pollution has been reduced in like a wide area
because of
of
the travel.
China. Right.
Yeah.
Well, It was in part because of that. It was in part because of the factory shutdowns.
Yeah.
And business shutdowns, and just people aren't doing stuff. They're just
Yeah,
inside hiding, as I probably would be.
Yeah, they also reduced travel drastically out of that area because there's many of these cities are quarantined at this point, so there's no cars going in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking a lot of. It's a good way to stop pollution or slow down pollution a little bit.
Yeah, coronavirus is doing more for
exactly.
for climate change than anything is, huh?
This is orchestrated by Greta.
What is that all about? I know that some what is it? Some younger female that started a climate change movement.
She's a climate activist.
Okay,
good on her. That's fine. But I mean, she's not a scientist. She's just very into the whole climate change. So it's good. It's fine. I don't really mind it in any way.
Right. Yeah. So it's like awareness.
Yeah.
That word awareness, that always worries me though, because especially in donating to people and stuff like that.
I don't enjoy that they go ahead and name people like that. Time Magazine's Person of the Year, or whatever the heck it is, because they haven't really done a whole lot to go ahead and for humanity's sake, I guess at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you know who she is though, so
yeah.
I mean, she's popular. But when I hear awareness, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, because I always think of the breast cancer awareness thing, which is basically a for-profit, non-for-profit, let's call it. Just because you're non-for-profit doesn't mean you can't pay your officers and everyone
they're
very
getting
hefty
paid very
salary.
well.
Exactly.
There is a site somewhere that shows you who or which of those organizations pull the most per dollar that you donate to them goes towards administrative fees that actually goes towards whatever the cause is. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting sometimes. It's like 70% on the dollar goes to the administrative fees and 30% goes to whatever.
Yeah, that's what that is. That's a for awareness campaign versus a for research campaign.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, when that was a thing a few years ago,
that was huge.
That was a for awareness thing. Not a for research thing.
Yeah.
So they always say to look for the ones that are for, this is for ABC research, and just donate to that sort of thing, if anything. But yeah, that's such a weird.
I never really looked any further into that. I wonder, did anything even come from the ALS from the Ice Bucket Challenge? Like, how much did they actually pull? I know that they were getting quite a lot of donations, but I mean, the whole point of it was to either dump the bucket of ice water on your head or to donate to the organization. I wonder what the outcome really was from that. How many millions they actually pulled in, compared to their normal year. Yeah, I mean, it's not like the ALS haven't been receiving donations before that point.
Right. Well, the guy who started it, he now has a 55-foot yacht.
Yeah, wonderful.
So I have no idea. We should research that.
We should.
We're just about at an hour here, brother.
Are we really?
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fart bag though before we go.
Yeah, I'm still looking at that every once in a while.
So, all right, here's what it is. It is it's a bag of activated charcoal.
Okay.
Because apparently, and I did research this, so it's not woo-woo nonsense. Apparently, activated charcoal acts as a natural air freshener.
Okay.
In wherever you put it. Mm-hmm. And it lasts for 2 years, and every 2 months or so, you're supposed to leave it in the sun for an hour or two, and it recharges it or whatever.
Really?
Yeah. So it works as a pretty decent air freshener, and it's not bad. The reason why I call it a fart bag is because when I was researching these, I was looking on Amazon about the reviews, and all the reviews were talking about getting fart smells out of things.
Really?
I farted really bad in my car before I left. And I put the fart bag in there, and a half an hour later when I got back in the car, it didn't smell,
Yeah, okay. Well, guess what? You could have opened your window a crack too, and it would have solved that same problem.
Think?
No, it's it looked like one of those bags that you toss into the holes at a bar. Those
cornhole.
Yeah, it looked like cornhole bag.
It does. That's
what I thought it was at first. I was like, why is that up there? And then it's just very strange. You got some strange things once in a while. I mean, I'm sitting over here. I got a Iron Man mask right behind me. I have what is this? A Predator mask?
Predator, yeah. Helmet, yeah.
I have a black globe. Black world globe.
I actually intended to sell the helmet and the mask, but I liked them and I kept them. And the globe, I think, is from Home Goods.
Oh, really?
Actually, I can't say I intended to keep that Predator helmet because I just the fact that
didn't you spend a lot on this thing?
Yeah. Here's what happened. It was at a time where those helmets were like a newer commodity.
Yeah.
So I bought a few of them to like resell to people. And
But you can't legally ride on a street with this as a motorcycle helmet, right? It's not. Is it DOT approved?
it's not. And the reason why it's not DOT approved is actually it's not because the underlying helmet isn't. It's because there's plastic in front of the face, and also you can't have any protrusions from a helmet that are more than, I believe it's an inch. So
all those dreads are pretty long, yeah.
Right. So when you do intend to sell something like that, you have to be very clear on your description that this is a novelty product.
Yeah.
And also write a disclaimer saying, like, this is not a helmet intended to protect you. This is a helmet that's intended to look good and is only legal in whatever states.
Yeah.
You know, this is not a DOT approved helmet.
I mean, can you see through it decently enough that you could play like paintball in it?
I mean, the visor isn't really wide enough to see through that great.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: I wouldn't play paintball in it.
I'm not quite sure if that visor would be able to take the impact of a paintball either.
It might. I can't remember. I don't remember how
strong enough.
Thick the visors. I mean, I would imagine it would be okay, but it does have a DOT approved helmet underneath. Like the underneath of it is what they constructed the outside on. Like it's a multi-layer sort of thing. But I'm glad I didn't buy more of them because after I bought my like third batch.
Well, let's be clear. You bought these originally because this was part of your business that you were going to sell, or you do sell a lot of helmets.
Right.
And so this was just an addition to your current lineup, I guess.
Right. I wanted to sell them, but people started knocking them off, and then eventually I had like 3 or 4 left in stock. I sold those off before this happened, and now I still have this one sitting there. Mind you, I still have this one listed for sale. So people could still buy it, but it's been listed for sale for $5. I think I paid $450, and I think I have it listed at $500. When they used to sell for like $600 or $650 or something like that, you know.
Even still, buying for $450 is quite a nice chunk of change for a helmet that you can't really use on.
Right? Why do you want to use it playing paintball?
No, I don't know if there's no like air vents or anything for you to. Because normally I'm sweating like crazy playing paintball.
The Iron Man one, that's an airsoft mask. That's what that is. Yeah. It's for airsoft, but you wouldn't use that with paintball unless you had goggles underneath it.
Yeah, because I see that. You can see right through the eye hole, I guess.
Right.
It's just mesh.
It's a mesh, yeah. I mean, that's why it's fine for airsoft because, airsoft can't get through that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, that's another one of the hobbies, I guess.
Makes me want to play paintball now, huh?
Yeah. You haven't played with us. Did you play with us last year? No, right?
I played once. Or no, twice. What was the time where...
But I think you came 2 years ago.
Christine shot me in the foot. Was that 2 years ago?
Oh, man.
And there was some conflict with younger children. No, I think we played twice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we played twice.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if it was last year or the year before that one.
This year, I thought you didn't come with us. We only went, I think, once this year. Or this year, I'm saying 2019.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think I did. Did because
you?
Christine didn't come and Jen didn't come also, right?
Could be.
Yeah, I'm almost positive we played twice. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, but you guys like that sport way more than I do now.
We used to play in tournaments and stuff back in the day. I mean, now we're in our mid-30s. We can't move the way these kids are doing it. They're 18, 19. They're running circles around us. Mm-hmm. And when we play speedball, that's so intense. I mean, you have to run at full speed and jump basically like, Superman dive behind the bag and stuff. And
right.
If I Superman dive behind a bag now, I think I'd break a rib on impact. Probably land on my tank.
That adrenaline only works for the first 30 seconds after you slide, and then when you're walking off, you're like crickety. And
I would love to. I would love to play speedball against others that are maybe our age that we don't have to worry about, running as fast. But
or what you can do is you can get used to shooting super fast and play as a bat guy.
Yeah.
But then you'll be spending $80 a match in paintballs
and plus, I mean, the 5 people that I know that I would play with, they would all want to also do the same thing. So we would just have 5 people standing behind the back bunker.
It's a good hobby. I mean, if you can afford the cost of paint, which
it's expensive. Yeah.
I mean, if you have a paintball marker, you're going to spend at least, I'd say, $80 a day anyways just to play. In the cost of paintballs, I'm just thinking you have
probably
to
more than that,
buy food, air, or whatever it is. So it's not not exactly a cheap person's game. But then on top of that, that's assuming that you purchased a $400 or $500 paintball marker.
Yeah.
And the hopper, the backpack, the mask, there's
everything,
just so much that
all
goes
piles
along
up.
with it. But,
yeah. And that $400 or $500 paintball marker, now you're talking, that's the cheapest of the line of paintball markers. They go up from there to several $1,000s for a decent one or a really good one.
That's one thing that's blown my mind. I guess it shouldn't because, obviously technology advances over the years, but the fact that a $1,200 paintball marker when we were younger is way worse than a $500 one now. By a lot. You know what I mean?
And you'd think, okay, what? It's just shooting a paintball out of the barrel. Like how difficult could that possibly be? But it's the velocity or the way that barrels are made nowadays, so that the paintball goes as straight as possible. It's just everything. The way that the hopper feeds. I mean, these hoppers can now feed it like insane amount of speed, 20 paintballs a second or more.
It's interesting to see the evolution too, because at first, which is weird because I'm pretty sure it's the name of a hopper, isn't it? Evolution.
It could be.
I'm almost positive. But it's interesting to see how it progressed over the years, because it was, you just got a plastic hopper, you shake the balls, and then you got like one that has that fan or blade.
Yep.
What would you call that?
I think it was a rotor, wasn't it?
A rotor, right, at the bottom that would feed the balls.
Actually, I think that was the name of the hopper.
A rotor? It might have been, yeah.
It might have been a rotor.
And so that would like chop the balls though, and then eventually you would get one that had like a bigger compartment, but then it was rubberized, but it was a little bit slow or noisy, and now it's like
it's unbelievable speeds,
over the years they just
I
made
remember
things so much better.
We used to play with like the Tippmans or what the heck those things were called, the old school ones with the gravity fed, like the hopper was just gravity fed. There was nothing special to them whatsoever.
But that was a skill.
Like it's like pop.
The skill is shaking your gun as you were shooting at the same time to make sure the balls.
And if you were running low and you had to make sure that you shake them around a little bit to make sure that they would go down the hole. And
you know what gave me a really big feeling of nostalgia is when we were playing paintball and then I heard pop because someone was running out of air.
Yep.
I was like, oh man, I knew that feel at one point when we used CO2 instead of compressed air, and when Tippmans were like the thing or whatnot.
Yeah, now it's the whole game has changed.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to really get into it a little bit more, and once my kid is old enough, like right now he's 7.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when he's like 10, maybe, I don't really remember when's the first time I ever shot a paintball gun or got hit by one.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I got to start toughening them up now, maybe.
I think that would make sense when you get close to like 8, 9, something like that. I don't know. I mean, I was riding a dirt bike when I was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
My brother was 3, which might have been a little bit irresponsible, but
probably,
it was still, we're closely monitored and had the training wheels and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But people shifted like their interests over time. I almost wonder how like the paintball business is doing in general with like the advent of like really, really good and addictive video games.
Yeah, that's the problem with anything outdoors at this point.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, I mean, I remember growing up, and I'm sure you do too. We spent 90% of the time outdoors. Whenever we got home from school, we would go outside and, play with our friends until it was too dark to play anymore. And then we would come inside and we would watch like channels 2 through 13. Because that's all we had on our TV, and that was the end of it.
I was lucky. I had Nickelodeon, so
did you? I didn't.
Felt fancy.
Yeah, no, you were fancy in that case. Now I think I didn't have cable TV until we were like, I think I was like 13 or something, 14.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had channels 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. That was it. And what's amazing is I always found something to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have channels 2 through 14,000, and I have
there's nothing on this damn thing.
Netflix and Amazon Prime Video and all that other stuff. And I'm always like, I don't know what to watch.
Yeah,
there's nothing to watch.
There's nothing on.
And on demand, I have everything on demand. Nothing to watch.
I think there was more creativity though, because it's like.
Was it there, or we were just fine watching Full House or whatever the heck goes on, like
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, all that stuff. You see, that's funny. That's why, like, I feel like there was a group of people that watched those shows, and I was not part of that group because I had Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to watch.
I was watching Doug and Rugrats until I was too old to be watching Doug and Rugrats. Basically.
I didn't watch any of those. No. Yeah. See, I grew up on.
I mean, the episode last week was great.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I grew up watching Full House and Fresh Prince and you think what else? There's so many other shows. Oh, I actually used to watch a weird show that almost nobody remembers because I think it got canceled after like 2 seasons. But it was a show called Reboot.
Reboot.
Yeah, Reboot.
Okay.
I think it was a Canadian show. It was, I think, the first really 3D animated show, and it was super interesting. But they canceled it. I don't know if it was just too expensive to make or who knows what. Yeah.
I mean, was there like, I was going to say CGI, but I know that's not the right word to use.
It was, it felt like CGI. Like when you, but it was like actual 3D animated characters and everything. It looked really cool for. I don't even know when that was. Maybe early '90s, I guess.
Right. Huh. Yeah. No, I've never heard of it. I mean, I was about like the animated shows, but and that's the thing too, is that just on like video games versus like playing outside and stuff like that. It's weird because I feel like video games do provide you with some sort of like intellectual stimulation and problem solving and things like that. Yeah. But I also feel like it kind of dashes creativity a little bit. Yeah. I mean, you're a father. How do you feel about like? I mean, I know you let your kids play games. Yeah. How do you feel about them in general and bringing them up in this kind of environment?
We try and kick our kids outside as much as possible, but sometimes it's a little bit more. With my daughter, it's easy. She's she loves doing anything that's physical activity, so she'll be doing pull-ups and push-ups, and she'll go outside and just climb on the trees and stuff like that. With my son, he's 7 at this point. He's he likes Fortnite, he likes Minecraft.
Of course, yeah.
So like on a day like today when we're like, okay, we're gonna go to the farm later, he's like, oh, yeah. But it's like I know it's only because he probably wants to play with his friends on Fortnite or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, the thing is, I grew up on. I had my first system that I ever had was an original Game Boy, old school black and white, and that was like in the late '80s. I want to say like '89 maybe was when I first got. So I was like 6. So I was kind of right around his age. But then the games back then weren't as crazy addicting as they are now. I mean, how long can I really play Tetris?
You're dead, and you have to go through levels 1 through 50 again.
Yeah,
to get where
exactly.
You were.
And how long can I really play Tetris or the original Super Mario? Or they were fun, but you couldn't spend hundreds of hours playing them unless if you were really addicted. But
yeah,
it's like Fortnite. You can just spend hundreds of hours, and it's so interactive, and it's all these different people that you're playing against and playing with, and you're playing with your friends, but you're not even seeing each other.
It's because there's variations on the same thing. If you look at it on the surface, like let's say any battle royale game in general, you gear up, you try and find an opponent, you try and kill them, you try and survive. So like on the surface it's the exact same thing, but just because the worlds are so big and the items are such highly vary so much, it's like you're never playing the same game twice.
And it's not like the single player games where the mobs are always in the same place. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go around this corner, I know there's gonna be a guy standing there, I'm gonna shoot him, then I'm gonna go around the next corner. In this situation, it's this person is living in California doing his own thing. He's on the same map as you, and he may be around this corner, or he may be in a field sniping you from a million miles away. It's just, I mean, we always get into. You used to play with us. I mean, you know.
Yeah. I think too, though, even when it was like that, where let's just call them bots or whatever, were in the same place, you would still, like, for me anyways, like, I played hours and hours and hours of Halo. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, trying to beat it on Legendary, you would just go through the same exact thing, over and over and over. But it remains to be seen, like, what this is all about, because
what kind of an effect this has on all the kids in the future.
Right. I mean,
I think their social skills have dropped drastically.
I agree, but also there's certainly intellectual stimulation to be had, because you can't just go into like a battle royale game with no problem solving ability and do well.
No,
you just can't. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of factors.
Exactly. Unless you have an unnatural ability, like a shroud or something, you have an unnatural ability to lock on a target with your mouse or whatever it is, no matter where someone's shooting you. You have to creep around this house. You have to be quiet. You have to throw a grenade there. You have to do this. So there's problem-solving skills that are involved, but social skills are definitely going down, I feel like.
They have to be.
But, I mean, that's the direction that a lot of things are going. And people, you would agree that, I mean, a lot of kids are way better at picking up technology than we are.
Oh, I mean, watching my 7-year-old, work on his computer, it's incredible.
Yeah. So your 7-year-old work on his computer.
I didn't even have a computer at 7,
Right.
I think my first computer,
I was playing Manhunt outside or whatever, like with my friends or some crap like that,
I remember,
I mean, they're not going away either. I mean, computers aren't going away.
Our computer was with Windows 95 on it, so I guess that must have been like, I must have been 10 or 12 years old when we got our first computer.
Yeah, my first computer was so old that there was a cow design on the box.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
It was the Comcast.
Gateway, I think it was.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, man, that was wild.
Are they still around?
Gateway? I don't think so.
No?
I mean, maybe. If they did, they haven't rebranded themselves properly. Because that cow box,
you don't see it anymore?
Was the thing. Yeah, I mean, everyone knew what that was. Though,
yeah.
But in any case, The last thing I was gonna say too is that as far as like getting into games and like kids gaming, one thing that was not even on the radar when we were kids was, oh yeah, you can make a living playing video games.
No, yeah, that wasn't even.
You know, imagine that. Like yeah, if you go to school and you do really well, you get a good career. Whereas now it's like, all right, if you play your games and you put a camera on yourself, and
Yeah.
you're articulate and
You'll make more than anybody that's working for the man.
well, you could.
It could.
That's exactly the thing.
But the
you
thing
know?
is, it's so few and far between. There's millions of gamers, and there's maybe a handful that are really making it.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
you can name a couple off the top of your head that are really making it, that are doing well. But all the rest are kind of just, you'll see their streams that have like 15 viewers, 20 viewers, even 50 viewers. You're not making
Right.
a living off of that.
But
you need to have a consistent like 1,000+ viewers every single time you're playing.
I remember watching one streamer when we were playing Sea of Thieves still,
Yep.
that he would average under 100. So he would average about 60 or 70
Okay.
viewers pretty consistently. And I remember someone asked him, like, is this your full-time job? And he said, yeah, I make a living doing this at
Really?
this amount. Yeah, he was.
I guess it also depends on how he's living, where he's living. I mean, if
He was living in Texas, so the cost of living is
Yeah.
just a little bit less than New
and I
York.
mean, if he's living with his parents and not paying rent, then he's just living off the very basics. Then yeah, you maybe could get away with something like that. But if you're actually wanting to have your own house, or
right.
if you have a mortgage, you have car payments, you have insurance, you have everything else.
Right.
You need to have quite a lot of viewers.
But while there is such a small echelon of people that are making, millions of dollars a year at this, I'm sure there's a pretty good I wouldn't say for everyone to go out and do it, but there's a good population of people
Hear
that
that,
are
kids?
probably
Quit school and start
Yeah.
playing Fortnite.
That's the takeaway from this message.
That's what we got.
I would imagine that there's a pretty good amount of people that are making $60,000-$70,000 a year doing it. You know what I mean? Just like it's not big loot, but it's.
I would really like to see, I guess, the statistics from Twitch or from Mixer where they would put out that kind of info, like how much did the average streamer make, or how much did the median streamer make, just so some sort of a breakdown to see how many people are really making it.
I don't know if Twitch would provide that information. It would probably have to be like some sort of third-party source, which wouldn't really have that information in the first place.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a way to track it. There are ways to see how many subscribers certain people have, and so you already know their monthly payout from subscribers.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Right. And then you don't have
and
to
all donations normally pop up on the screen or pop up somewhere, so that's got to be tracked somehow too. So I'm sure there's some way to know.
Right, and at that level, you don't have to worry about the unknowns, such as like endorsements and stuff that like, the top tier players get, because
that's literally just the top tier players.
Didn't we say Shroud? How much was it that he was making just subs alone?
It was insane
on a monthly basis.
I don't even
ridiculous.
Remember. Yeah, I don't remember. Was it Ninja or was it? One of them was like 100,000 subs a month or something like that. So, and each sub, so they pay $5 a month to sub to you. So you get, I think, $3 of that. If you're in that level, you can negotiate with Twitch to go ahead and you get $3. Normally it's $2.50, but $3 a sub at 100,000, you're looking at $300,000 a month that you're pulling in just from your subs. Now, it's not even talking about donations and sponsorships and everything else. So these guys are making crazy money.
It's also the intrinsic value they bring to the platform. Because think about how many people are on Twitch at one time. Now think about what percentage of those people would just be watching Shroud.
Or
Dr. Disrespect.
It's huge.
It's so huge that
they can fluctuate games that are on the top list. So like when you click on like the games list to see what's worth playing or what people are playing, and you'll see like how many people are viewing certain games, and like as soon as like a Dr. Disrespect and a Shroud start playing some weird game, boom, that instantly becomes like the #1 game on there. It doesn't even matter that there's only
everyone
like
wants to get in a game with them, so they try and lobby up and see if it works
everything.
out. It's like an influencer of the video game world.
For sure.
For
sure. That's why they also get that crazy money from sponsorships.
Right. I mean, Mixer had to have paid Shroud to move to their platform.
I'm sure.
I'm not sure is he still there? Do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that had to have been
I'm sure
a
he
money
had to
move.
sign some sort of an agreement to stay with them for a certain period of time.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
something
Ninja made that move originally. He was one of the most famous gamers.
to Mixer.
He moved to Mixer first.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
And it was a huge deal. They didn't. I don't know if they actually released the specifics, but people, I guess, speculated on how many millions of dollars that must have cost them to move that over.
Right. Did he average more viewers than Shroud in general?
Yeah.
Oh, he did, right? Oh, because he gets like the
He was
younger base also.
He was he was a Fortnite god. That's what they called him. So he was on TV. He was all over the place.
Right. He was on Ellen DeGeneres and stuff like
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look
he
where
streamed with Drake, I think it was, or
yeah. I remember hearing that. I mean, look where we are talking about this now as like a thing. You know, again, if you told people about this 20 years ago, they'd be like, what are you talking about? That
they are looked up to as much as other. That's like, oh, you can watch. We watched Michael Jordan in our time, and now in 20 years from now, who knows? My kids will be saying, oh, we used to watch Shroud.
Yeah. It's something that you never would have thought of, but if you look back on it, it makes perfect sense. I mean, you would have buddies come over, you would all play video games together, and then sometimes if you would sit out and watch you play. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or it's surprising that people didn't learn sooner that there was an actual community for people that wanted to watch video games.
Yeah, I mean, Twitch is not that old. It's only a couple of years old.
Especially since, like, sports are a thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean...
Well, the thing also is internet speeds needed to catch up.
Okay.
We didn't have the type of internet speeds needed and required really to stream until the last decade or so.
Right.
Before that, we didn't have these crazy bandwidths that we have now.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess you don't have like a what is it called, like a T1 line or something.
Yeah, exactly. It was we basically glorified the dial-up speeds. It was just we didn't have that until not too long ago.
Right, pretty recently. I mean,
and even still, then you also had problems where even today, actually, there's places that have limited internet, like the vacation house that we have upstate. Up there, you only get a certain number of bandwidth. So when we had satellite internet,
HughesNet.
Was it HughesNet?
I don't know. I know Jen had that, or her family
really?
had that at some point. It was freaking awful.
Yeah, so you're limited on how much you can use per month. So
yes,
you could watch a streamer for like an hour and be like, well, that's the end of that for the month. I guess I can't go on Amazon tomorrow.
I remember they wanted to switch at some point because they had to download some sort of like big Windows update or something,
and
like they couldn't download it all in one shot in the day.
Oh,
or whatever it was. It was like
you have to break it up.
We got to figure this out. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, we'll date ourselves, but like, do you remember when the internet used to make noises when you connected?
Oh yeah.
Wee-oo.
AOL. Sign on to AOL. So I actually got into a lot of trouble once. Let me go ahead and tell this quick story.
Oh,
so
let's hear it.
So AOL used to have to dial up, and you'd have to dial, and this was before households had just unlimited calling.
All right, let me ask you: was your mom on the phone? Is that what it was?
Well, no, that was always the thing too. Yeah, it's like, Mom, get off the phone. I'm like, no, but we always had to have two phone lines for that reason too. So we always had the dial-up line that would connect to the internet, and then the other line would be like so that Mom could talk on the phone while I'm online.
And you said I was fancy because I had Nickelodeon. Jeez.
So anyway, we used to have to dial up to AOL, and so in the AOL app, the problem used to be if it was like high times, the local dial-up number that you would have to dial up into would be busy, and you would get a lot of busy signals. And this is like, this was something that was really obnoxious back in the day. It would take forever to go through the whole, and then they'd be like, oh, busy. So then what I did was I went in and I said, let me change the thing to, because we have an 845 area code here for the area code for dial out. So we had a dial out number, I think in Kent or something like that was also 845. I switched it to a Yorktown connection.
Okay.
Turns out that because it was 914 over there, that it was considered a long distance call. So when I spent hours on the computer that month, all of a sudden my mom got a $900 phone bill.
Holy shit, $900?
Yeah, because this just unlimited calling to nationwide calling was not a thing back then.
Yeah, right.
So we got hit with
it's just like a town away. Well, not it's
I got yelled at for that one.
2 towns away.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, $900.
Yeah.
Did she like fight it or what? I mean,
don't remember. I think she did, and I don't think she had to pay for the whole thing, but.
I mean, you remember when long distance was like a thing they had to worry about?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly what it was. I dialed long distance on our AOL dial-up.
Jeez.
Didn't know, and of course, just every single time after that, whenever we connected, just automatically called that number. So I never changed it back to the Kent number.
Right.
So.
You wouldn't worry about it because it's so close.
Yeah.
What is it, though, about...
I mean, Yorktown's probably closer than Kent from here. But because it's
I think you're right, actually.
Because it's 845, not 914 or whatever.
Yeah. I wonder if it was because it was a different county, because I think Kent is still in the same county, whereas Yorktown is Westchester County, right?
Yeah.
Could be that you cross the county lines, now you got to pay $5 a month or whatever. Man, thank God you didn't accidentally enter in a naughty talk line.
Yeah, right?
the bill would have been $90,000.
Yeah, no, so that was pretty awful. I got into some trouble for that one.
What is it about the internet speed that it didn't catch up with the streaming, because I don't really understand that too well. Like,
I think it's just technology in general. I mean, the fiber optics was not a
well,
thing.
you can watch movies online, but is it like the outgoing bandwidth or whatever?
There's two different ones, yeah. So there's download speeds and upload speeds.
Right.
So when you're
Which
streaming,
I never look at the upload speed ever.
Yeah, but I guess you have FiOS here.
Yeah, FiOS.
Yeah, so FiOS matches your down and your up, so they're the same. There's other ones, like I just actually talked to Michael, my brother-in-law, and I think he's paying for 200 up with Optimum or something like that, but he's actually only getting like 30 up speeds or something like that. Oh no, he's getting 200. He's paying 200 down, but that means that he's only getting 30 up, which is he was trying to stream. He was trying to stream a little bit for fun, and he said it was just so choppy that he couldn't do it because he doesn't have the needed up speeds.
Right. Okay, I see. So it's basically the speed where you upload stuff on the internet is
exactly where
the bottleneck
where your
is,
information
basically
is going back to the internet. Yeah.
Right. I see. Yeah.
So he can download perfectly fine. Everything seems like it's coming to him perfectly fine. But when he's sending his information back, it's slow.
We have the same thing at our house, anyways. Not here, but with Xfinity, is like the download speeds were fine, but the upload speeds were crap.
Yeah.
But the difference between that and Verizon was significant, and I was like, well, I'm not streaming at home or doing any of that stuff. So it's like,
I mean, if you're not like putting massive making videos and posting them to like your Dropbox or something like that every day, then who cares? Because I mean, we have FiOS at home as well, but we always had the 150 up, 150 down speeds. Oh no, actually it was lower. I think we had 100 up, 100 down originally when we first got there. And when I started streaming, it was just not enough.
Right.
So when I started streaming, I called them up and they came in and they installed gigabit internet. So we have like 940 down and 970 up or something ridiculous. So that was more than enough. And now with the kids with their own tablets and their TVs, and the wife has her
7 devices
we have
connected
so
to it.
many things connected to the internet all the time. So it was worth putting in.
That's something that I wish was a reality here, is that there's towns throughout the United States that have municipal internet. Have you heard of this before?
No.
It's super cool. You got to look it up. It's basically they treat the internet as a commodity, or not commodity. They treat the internet as a what's that word?
So it's basically
like a
like
public service, like a
really like your water and your sewer, and then there's also
exactly. And you would think it would be crap because obviously it's something that the government's now handling.
Yeah, and you would assume that like with 10,000 people all biting off the
utility.
Same...
That's the word. Sorry.
Okay. So, thank you for yelling.
Utility. But yeah, they treat it as a utility, and I was reading, it was just a post on Reddit where people were chiming in about like their experiences with it, and almost everyone that had it in their area had close to gigabyte speeds,
really,
and was paying about $50 a month. Yeah, and other people were complaining about like the bigger corporations like Comcast and Verizon and stuff that are trying to block it in certain towns because of obviously the for-profit sort of thing.
Interesting.
And to me, it's like, I mean, I feel like that's going to be a reality at some point.
I never even thought about that.
But wouldn't it make sense? I mean, you think about things that everyone uses. Everyone uses electricity. Everyone uses, everyone needs water.
Nobody owns the internet, so why not have
Right, exactly.
Why not the town make profit off of that too?
Right. Yeah, it is annoying seeing like what the prices are at for certain charges, especially when like they can even throttle them. Like you said, like
of course.
Whatever Mike was paying for his upload speeds, he's not going to get that. And you never do. I mean, it's just how it is. But I think that would be a cool thing
for sure.
to try and put through.
It is interesting that they throttle it on purpose at times. So like if you exceed a certain number, then all of a sudden now it's like, okay, well, it's the same with our hotspot. If I do a hotspot for my phone, although we have unlimited internet, and I have unlimited internet that I can give out on my hotspot, it's I think after 15 gigs it gets throttled down to like a third of the speed that it normally was or something. It's no longer 4G. It's now like 1x or whatever the heck it is.
Right.
It's super reduced.
Yeah, I don't want to misspeak on the whole thing, but I remember Verizon was doing that to like emergency responders.
Oh, really?
In California, and people are getting really pissed about
I can
it.
imagine.
And then I can't. This was about. Jeez, this is over a year ago. So probably a year or two.
So these
ago.
are you're talking about the people that were helping in the fires that were.
I can't remember. Yeah. Again, I don't want to give out the wrong information. Yeah. But then, regardless of why it was happening or how it was happening, they fixed and/or changed it, and then they launched a massive advertising campaign that was like Verizon's great for first responders and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you remember that, but
that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's
Oh, and by the way, real quick, for those people that tuned in last week for the previous episode, it was The Inside Man was the movie that you guys were debating on.
Yes.
You guys couldn't think of the name. I'm pretty sure that's the one that you're talking about.
It's funny, too, because I think we were like, it was a man inside.
Yeah, you guys
what the hell was
the guy
it?
was inside them.
He was inside the bank. He was a man.
So, just wanted to throw that out there real quick so that the people that are still sitting there going, what movie was it?
Mm-hmm. So, strangely enough.
Great movie. Go watch it.
Mm-hmm. It was. Oh, my God, it really was.
Really good movie.
Strangely enough, I feel like this always happens. I do want to talk about this also really quick. The fact that you go to places and we get orders from them.
Yeah.
But,
oh my God, that happens to us so often. It's ridiculous.
Hold on, before you go there, I was going to say that movie. I was cleaning up movies that I had previously purchased and downloaded on my computer from literally from end of college. So
purchased. I like the
purchased and downloaded
purchased
with
and
money.
Right.
So at the end of
college,
college,
they were.
Yep. So this is 2009. Takes pirate hat off. This was 2009, and one of
no
those
longer
movies,
be prosecuted. Right? 7 years. You good?
We'll move on from that, I guess. No comment. No, but one of the movies was Inside Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, it was.
That's so funny.
It was right there. I was like,
there it is.
Among all the other ones, I found it.
I thoroughly enjoy that movie. Yeah, but no, going back to, so Jerry places orders with us all the time, and I would say you get at least an order a day to us, maybe more.
I guess it depends on. I feel like the average is more like an order every 2 or 3 days if you extrapolate out through the year.
Yeah.
Because there's like certain times.
That
more busy than others.
Yeah. So then I'm always traveling all around, and sometimes I get back from a trip, like I'll be in some weird town in Ohio, and then all of a sudden he sends me an order from that weird town in Ohio. I was like, I was just there last week, or what happened? Was it San Francisco?
Or you're going there.
I was going there like the very next week. I just booked like everything. I think it was for my San Francisco trip, wasn't it? Oh no, San Antonio maybe. I don't remember.
Was
anyway,
it a Texas order? Yeah, I can't remember. I think the important thing to get across here too is like it has nothing to do with you having been there.
No,
though.
Zero. Yeah,
it's not like you were doing advertising there.
No, I don't push that product when I'm on the road at all. So it's just coincidence. I mean,
that's why I love it when you're traveling places.
It's happened to us more than a dozen times.
That's why I love it when you travel places.
You always know orders are going to come in.
I know your wife and your kids probably don't like it because they're missing
annoying.
You for that week, but
For you, it's like,
I'm making that money.
Hey, here comes an order from San Francisco.
Yep.
No, it's happened to us so many times, and every single time I write back to him, like, and it's happened again.
That's so weird. Yeah, I mean, either that or like a town or two away. Like,
very close.
It's usually when it happens. It's usually within like an hour or two, something like that, or closer.
Even
I feel
closer
like,
sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it's in the exact town.
Right. Yeah, and it's not like. I remember asking you too, like the first few times it happened. I was like, "Oh, is this a place that you guys travel to like once a year or frequently?" Like, no. First time we're here, just doing a repair or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was some fluke reason that I'm at this town, and then all of a sudden the next 3 days later, I got an order from Jerry for that same town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's
so random.
It's very strange that happens, and I mean, it's not like this country's small. It's a pretty freaking big country. And
how many states have you been to? Out of because you've been to most of them, I would say.
I think I'm at 44.
Mm-hmm. Jesus, really?
Yeah.
So okay, I'm guessing you haven't been to
Alaska and Hawaii. I have not touched because I have no reason to go there. I have no business out there.
You never vacation in Alaska or Hawaii?
No.
Like you would?
I don't think I would.
You wouldn't.
No.
Okay. A lot of people say it's beautiful there, though.
I can imagine, and I'm not a fan of going to places that are super touristy.
Okay.
So like, I don't want to go to these places and be like surrounded by other people. Like, I'd like to go to places that are a little bit more desolate, I guess,
right.
or where I could be with the culture that's there. You know, like when we go, we always travel to like Costa Rica or Nicaragua.
Well, that's touristy though, isn't it? Costa Rica.
Yeah, but the thing is, we go very far away from the tourist section, so that so whenever we go there, we would fly.
So you're not staying at the Sandals?
No, absolutely not.
Okay,
no,
got it.
So we would drive like 4 hours away from the airport, south along the coast, all the way down until we get to the Corcovado State Park, which is this beautiful area of just nothingness. And it's just, that's kind of always the vacations that we've enjoyed. Like whenever we get away, we really want to get away.
Right.
So Hawaii is a little bit too touristy for us.
You can probably go to different islands there, though.
I'd like to go to Alaska, though. I mean, Alaska,
that's as remote as it can get if you're not in Juneau. I feel like
it's just that's one of those places where I have no. I guess I could get like a crabs in a can, right? There must be factories there that.
Regardless of crab, I mean, there's got to be other fishing industries there that they can stuff. I mean, canning fish is a huge. There's a whole section at the grocery store for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a whole fish in a can. Whether like, I remember one time like really diving into it. Like there's like oysters and octopus and like other stuff like that just in a can. It's like.
So no, maybe that's one day. But there's also like Montana. I've never been to Montana. Like that's another one of those states where just I have no business there. Like,
so you're not a fan of like
I would love to go
of antelope hunting or whatever they do there. I don't know.
I don't do any hunting, so yeah, that's.
I see. Okay.
So no, it's South Dakota, North Dakota. Just places that I've had no business in. Really.
Right.
But yeah, so 44 states I think is what I'm at right now.
That's wild. I mean, do you like being on the road if
so
in general, I guess? I don't know.
So I do enjoy, I guess, seeing all these places, and I don't mind like flying at all. Like when I get like other people get on a plane, they get all nervous and everything. I get on a plane, I just fall asleep before they even take off.
You do realize you're the exception to the rule of people that fly. Like most people freaking hate it.
See, I don't mind it at all. Like I get on a plane, I have my movies, on my Netflix downloaded already on my phone, or I have if you fly with United, you get the United app and you can watch movies that are fairly recent and stuff. So I watch a couple movies and then I fall asleep, or sometimes I fall asleep before we even take off. If it's a delayed takeoff or something. But so I don't mind flying. And then usually now whenever I rent a car, I usually splurge a little bit and get a slightly nicer car than just a Toyota Corolla. So yeah, so
probably a good idea to not be miserable with
driving. Especially if I have to drive for like multiple hours in each direction or something. That's like I'd rather be driving a Mercedes, a cheap Mercedes or something than a Corolla for those long trips.
And what are the trips for mostly? Is it, would you say, mostly making repairs or marketing purposes, or what is it?
A lot of trade shows.
Trade shows, okay.
Yeah, so we go to a lot of small little trade shows. We go to some big ones as well. The biggest one that we go to is the IMTS in Chicago. It's the
IMTS?
IMTS,
okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be coming up this year again. It's every other year. That's a massive show. That's mainly for the machine tool industry.
What do you mean by massive? Like how many?
It sells out the entire McCormick Center. So
McCormick Center.
Yeah. So all of the North Wing, the South Wing, the West Wing, and the East Wing, they're all completely full. Huge.
How big is it of was a convention center? Is it compared to the other ones you've been to, though? It's like
the McCormick is one of the biggest ones. I think.
Oh, it is. Okay.
I think it's bigger than the Las Vegas one. I'm not quite sure now.
Oh, really? I've been to that one. That one's massive.
I think they may be around the same size in that case. They are. We've been to the Las Vegas one as well, but
right.
So no, yeah, it's a huge show, but then we also do the craft brewer industry, the craft brewer show. Which that one's a lot of fun, I'll tell you, because it's.
I was gonna say, is that the funnest one?
It's for sure. Unfortunately, I have to miss it this year. This year it's gonna be down in San Antonio. I have to miss it this year because I'm going to Germany like the next week after, so I couldn't leave the family 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
So so I'm gonna miss that show, but that one's always fantastic. If you ever get a chance for anything, if you're ever in the industry for something, get the chance to go to the craft brewer show. That one's fantastic. I mean, it's a lot of people that are trying to start breweries from scratch, and there's a lot of people that already have breweries that are trying to expand their equipment, and there's other ones that have large breweries like Sierra Nevada or something that would show up, and so they have just lots and lots of booths. But what's interesting is it's like 10 booths of equipment or whatever else, and then also in a beer station. 10 more booths of something, and then another beer station.
A beer station where you could drink beer.
Yeah. Starting at like 10 in the morning already, they start serving. And
how are you not wasted by like
one?
Yeah,
most people are. And they have the best receptions. So they have like a welcome reception. The one that we did in Washington, D.C., they actually rented out the Museum of Natural History, I believe it was.
Okay.
They actually rented out there's 2 separate buildings that they had that were connected. And I think they were 4 stories each. And they rented out the entire thing for an entire welcome reception. So you got to go in. They have beer stations on every single level from all these different breweries that come in and want to show off their beers. So you go to
just FYI, those 2 words really excite me. Beer station.
Okay. Well, yes, these were beer stations.
Multiple beer stations.
Multiple beer stations. So yeah, so they just have all these breweries that are showing off their beers, and you walk around, grab a beer, go check out an exhibit, come back out, your beer's empty, go ahead and fill it up again, go back in. That was fantastic.
I feel like that's one of those industries where every time you see like a brewmaster, he is just so goddamn excited to be alive.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like I haven't seen
friendliest industry on the planet.
Right. Yeah. I just
and they help each other. It's incredible. Like you'd be like, okay,
How
these
so?
guys are. So like if one brewer and the another brewer have an issue like where they can't make enough beer for themselves or whatever, they like call up the other guy and they're like, can you make this batch for us in your pots? And sure, okay, they'll go ahead and they'll make it for them, they'll brew it for them, and then they'll send it over to them, and so they help each other. Or they have like meetings and they go ahead and talk about things that they're working on, the experiences, and they're like super friendly.
So
everybody
a good community to be a part of.
Oh,
basically. Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, it's a very unique, as opposed to like some of the other industries that we're in, for like in the aerospace or something like that, or defense or something like that, where they're not even allowed to talk to each other. They're not even allowed to have people in. Like we've gone into places where you can't even bring anybody in that's not working on the machine. Or when you work on the machine, they guide you to the machine, and then they make sure that you don't leave. You're not allowed to take your cell phone out of your pocket. You're not allowed to take pictures. You're not allowed to do anything. So
you're being monitored by
at all times, yeah. And so if another company in that same industry was like, oh, we're interested in buying the machine, can we check out your machine at one of these other places? We'll be like, well, no, we can't let you go in there. Like nobody will let you walk in that place.
Right,
so
right.
It's completely different in the beer industry. They're so open armed people. Like you go to think about it. You could do tours. Mm-hmm. You can actually do tours in their place of work, in the place of their business. And
I've toured. There's a brewery that's pretty close. It starts with a J. I can never remember. It's not Jameson, obviously. It's because that's Sam, not Sam Adams. I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's in Westchester County.
Really?
Yeah, I'd have to look it up.
Well, anyway, yeah. So the fact that they let anybody in.
Come into our office.
Yeah.
Drink our product.
Yeah.
Have fun. Be merry.
Check out our equipment. We'll talk about our equipment. Nobody else does that.
Right.
It's great.
Did you in the places that you went where they like monitored you? You weren't allowed to take pictures or anything like that. Is there anything that you are allowed to talk about that you saw that's cool?
Not. Well, they make you sign NDAs.
Okay.
For anything that's really cool.
So you're not allowed to talk about any of that.
The one cool place that I went into, it was out in California. Mm-hmm. They actually sent me through a full TSA screen test before I was allowed to walk in, and then they
you had to take your shoes off.
Yeah, take my shoes off. They sent it through a conveyor belt where they actually scanned it with an X-ray, and then I had to take off everything except for my pants and my shirt and everything, and then I had to walk through a metal detector, and then everything else got scanned and sent through, and then every single employee of that place gets the same exact treatment every single day they walk in, and then on the way out.
Oof,
so at 4:00 when it was time to quit, when everybody was done working, the line was so far to like go through this TSA. It felt like it was at an airport. Like you just had to like wait on this line to get through this screening.
Wow.
Because a lot of their products was made out of gold and platinum.
Oh, really?
And so like they want to make sure that nobody's smuggling any of the shavings, I guess, any of the gold shavings and flakes and stuff like that off in there. Mm-hmm. And so they send you through a screener as well, just to make sure you didn't swallow
like a nightmare. You want to clock out of work and you have to wait another 15 minutes or whatever
to get through. So
like I gotta run home really quick.
So I bet people are like, okay, 3:59, 4:00, and then they run to the front of the line.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would do.
Yeah, so that was an interesting place.
Are you allowed to say what the name of it is, or don't if you're not?
Probably not. I mean, you wouldn't know it anyway. This was a smaller company that just did special things. So, but there's other places like my father's been to like Apple, to the Apple facility, and they are super strict. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have multiple buildings, and if you take a part, even if it's a part that is just making like a housing or whatever, it doesn't even matter. You if you're going between buildings, you cannot walk with the box with the lid open. So you actually have to have the lid sealed, just in case there's like a drone or something like that that can take a picture.
What do you mean by a part? Like a part to a phone or something?
Yeah,
or?
like so if a machine part that you have or that's in there that you're moving to one of the other buildings,
right?
You can't walk with that machine part just like in your hand or something like that. You have to actually have it inside a sealed box so that nobody could take a picture of that.
Could someone take a picture of the part and then
makes
know
no sense what they're making?
But then know what they're making with that part.
That's their theory, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
They're super strict.
Just because they don't want things to get leaked or whatnot.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
because I mean, in those industries, it's a big deal to have things leaked. I mean, you always see oh my god, a new picture of a leaked iPhone 11 or something like that. It's like, okay.
Let's put it this way: they don't want stuff to get leaked unless they want.
Unless if they did it themselves.
Like, oh man, the tester of the iPhone 9 or whatever one it was at the time left at a bar. Remember that?
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, how stupid do you think we are?
Yeah. Left it at a bar. I'm sure.
Yeah, that's wild though. With the TSA checks, was that you only did one place where you had to do that, or was
that strict?
Places?
Yeah, like all the ones that we go into, they sometimes they usually check your bag or something like that to make sure, like they will check my tool bag or whatever to make sure that we're not smuggling things in and out. But
Right. And is there usually, in a lot of places, there like a no photography policy?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
gotcha.
pretty standard in especially in like the aerospace or defense. So anything that has to do with military, there's very strict policies on what you're. And you also in those areas you have a special big badge that you have to wear.
Okay.
That indicates that you're a special visitor. That you have to be guided to areas. So like they'll walk with you if you like have to go to the bathroom. Like usually you have to ask, is it okay if I go over there to the bathroom? And they'll just walk you.
Like high school?
Yeah.
Can
I
go
have
to
to get a hall pass.
Teacher, can I go to the bathroom? I don't know. Can you?
I have to get a hall pass.
Oh yeah, that's wild.
So it makes the job interesting. Seeing all these companies, seeing all these big factories. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small factories. So sometimes they go to, like I've been in Sierra Nevada brewery, which is a decent sized brewing company. Actually, I was in the one in North Carolina. They have 2 locations. And then other times I go to places that are like 5 people working as in a brewery, like super micro brewery, and they're just asking for equipment. So
right. Is Sierra Nevada the name of a place also? Might be a silly question.
I mean, it's the Sierra Nevadas, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like it's almost like the Catskills sort of thing. Like
exactly,
it's a particular region.
But what's interesting is the head brewery is in California. I think it's north of Sacramento.
Not in the Sierra Nevada.
Not in
region.
Nevada.
Okay, I gotcha. What you said your dad went to the Apple. Apple is that in the United States?
Yeah.
So they do some production here.
And they actually were trying to put more production into the U.S. This was a couple of years back. I would say 2015 or 14 or something. They were trying to get a pretty big factory put together in the U.S. and then it was going to be in California because that's their state, their home state, and California ixnayed the whole project, saying that for environmental reasons they couldn't do it, so they had to do it in China. So
yeah,
great job. I mean, it's environmental reasons, but they're still going to do it regardless. So.
Yeah, that's silly. It's a slippery slope to try and navigate for them anyways. You know what I mean? You want to make a product at a certain price, and then you have to figure out where to go. But I mean, I had no idea at all that they produced anything here. Like if you told me, if you asked me what percentage of an Apple iPhone comes from the United States, I would say 0. I don't know.
I don't really know how much is made here, but they do have some factories here.
Right, I gotcha. Maybe they're making just a specific part of the phone, like the cameras or
could be
casing or whatever it is.
Could be.
How do you guys come into play with something like that though? Like what product line? So
for that one there, that was we have a couple of different ones that actually go into play there. The one that we originally did was for our rotary tables. That was going to move the parts into place for production reasons. They also had some sort of assembly machines that we used to represent that they were talking about there as well, but that's still a project that's still pending.
Gotcha. So it's not like they may use the rotary table for a variety of different pieces of the phone, not just like one component of it, you're saying?
Usually when a company this big, they would dedicate it for like just making the housing or just making this piece, or they usually don't switch out and make different pieces on one because it's just they have so much volume that they need to make that they can justify just one. I mean, these rotary tables can go for $30,000-$40,000 or more.
Oh, wow.
So they can justify it because they have such a huge volume.
Right. Whereas you're saying like a different company may have to repurpose it for a variety of different pieces or whatnot.
Some of the smaller machine shops they're making pieces for one guy, like maybe 1,000 pieces, and then the next day they get an order for another 1,000 pieces for something completely different from another guy. So they use the machines for everything. So they can't just say, okay, let's dedicate an entire machine for this, $10,000 order.
Right.
And they can't do that because they have to, constantly fluctuate between the different parts.
With the shows that you guys go to,
Yeah.
is that like your primary form of marketing, or
Yeah.
how do you market something like this?
Yeah, it's not easy, but yeah, that's we've always found that the trade shows have been the best for us, but they're also the most expensive. But what's nice is you can always tie in a trade show with visiting customers. So like if we're going to be in Chicago for the IMTS, we're going to be there anyway. Why not spend a couple of days before the show, a couple of days after the show, visiting, customers all around in the Chicago area. So it's nice that it's a nice way to go ahead and see a lot of people at the same time and then see customers.
Is this current customers or like potential customers?
We do potential customers. We do cold calls sometimes where we just walk in and ask to see like a maintenance manager, a production manager, or something along those lines. And other times just previous customers that haven't ordered in a long time, we'll go say hi to them or just keep in touch.
So do you guys have like boots on the ground reps too that go
So
out and reach people, or?
we do for certain products. We have I guess some help, but for the most part it's just my father and myself that go around. And actually right now my father's out in, I think he's in Nevada still. Yeah, because he sent a picture from Winslow, Nevada, which is
I have no idea where that is. Is it near Las Vegas?
There's an Eagles. Is it Winslow? No, it's Winslow, Arizona. Sorry,
Arizona. Okay.
It's from an Eagles song, "Standing on the Corner" in Winslow, Arizona.
Oh, is it really?
So yeah, so they actually had a picture of them standing on a corner. And
that's awesome.
So,
how do they find people though? Is there, you just have like a list of like factories or machine shops or something like that, or
Google?
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, we do a lot of Google. I know we do.
Is that simple, huh?
We do buy lists sometimes as well from like previous shows where it's like, okay, you can get all the attendee lists for like X amount of dollars, and then they send you the huge list of people and contacts and everything. And
right.
So we've done that in the past. That's how we've picked up from the IMTS. We bought that once, and I think we ended up with like 36,000 email addresses or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of it was bounce backs. When we would do like a blast of emails, we would get like 10,000 bounce backs or things that just say bad email address or whatever. But
right,
many of them go through, and those that helps as well. I mean, that was one of the more affordable ways that we've caught our customers as well, because I think it cost us like $1,600 or something like that for those email addresses.
Right.
So we bought it, we paid it one time, and now we have permanent use of all those email addresses that we use for. We use Constant Contact to send out massive blasts where we just promote a new product and send it out to everybody. And so sometimes we'll get a hit back saying, hey, send me pricing. Right. So it's definitely paid for itself multiple times over for that list.
That list you get now, when you say it's, would you say, like, not permanent, but is it like you get to use it unlimitedly, or?
So the way they do it nowadays, you can't. But when we bought it back in the day, it was a permanent use list. So they sent us an actual Excel file with all the names, company name, phone number, email address, everything.
Oh, wow, okay.
Every single person that came to the MTS. So I think that was about 36,000.
Data's loot nowadays, huh?
Yeah, and now they want you to rent those lists. So they'll say, okay, here it is for this amount. We'll do one email blast for you.
Oh, so you can't even do your own email blast.
So they'll do it for you, yeah. So you'll send them your email, what you want it to be and everything, and then they go ahead and blast it out to these companies. So you don't have their email address. So you never actually have the email address.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, they changed the format a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, of course, because they want to get the more money.
It took a long time to even get these 36,000 customers into Constant Contact, because Constant Contact has a strict rule of how you're allowed to get your email addresses and how you're allowed to acquire them and how you're allowed to...
Like an opt-in
sort
of
exactly,
thing?
Yeah,
I see.
So uploading them took a long time. I had to upload in small sections, and it was a pain.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean,
they would call every once in a while and be like, hey, where'd you get this group of people from? It's like, oh, well, these are all the people that came to visit us at our booth.
Show, yeah. There's 36,000 people in this group. Like,
we were very busy.
It was a great show.
How many people are you guys? Oh, we're 4 people. 36,000 people you guys saw? Yeah, so no, that's how we do most of our stuff.
Right. So email blasts, going to shows, you do have
cold
like
calls, visiting customers,
some boots on the ground reps, cold calls, stuff like that. If you guys all of a sudden had an investment of, I asked Manj the same thing. You had an investment of $50,000, let's say. Actually, let's say for you guys, you're a little bit of a bigger company. You had $200,000. Would you, for one, even take it? And two, what would you guys put it towards?
I mean, take it as in, like, we'd have to give up equity?
Well, no, it's free.
Free? Well,
yeah, it's free to do. But
no, you know what? Screw it. Not interested. Keep your $200,000.
Wait, you don't like free money?
I don't like free money.
Yeah, we can go out to the money tree and just pick it off. What would you put it towards?
Yeah, I guess just maybe we would hire an outside sales guy, like somebody that's in California right now. Because, I mean, for us, the big problem is there's a lot of companies in California. There's and we visit them 1 week, 2 weeks a year, at most. And really, these type of companies, it would be fantastic if we had somebody out there at all times that worked for us that would just push our agenda and nothing else. So, like, you can get reps, or you can get other people out there that are independent. But the problem is they have like 20 other things that they're slinging. So they show up at these places with like, a big gigantic book full of stuff, and the odds of yours coming up to saying like, oh, we can offer this is slim to none.
Mm-hmm. So it's that there are too many potential customers and not enough reps to reach these potential customers.
So it would be great if we had, I guess other people out there, but I mean, whether or not the return will be there to justify, to get a good sales guy, you're looking at $100,000 a year after everything's all said and done with benefits and everything else.
Right. Let alone the cost to find,
and then for him to travel. Yeah, exactly. So then for him to travel around to California is not cheap either. So whether or not we would get that kind of a return, don't know.
But, right. Remains to be seen. I gotcha.
But other than that, maybe just hiring a marketing company to do emails for us instead of us always having to do them. Maybe having them run with social media a little bit more, because we don't have a huge social media presence right now.
I feel like that's part of the reason why your particular industry is so difficult, though. It's that, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I feel like you can't just do like a Google advertising campaign or just a standard social media campaign. Because like people, who's just going to Google like, I need ABC, I need a rotary table for this. I need,
That's been the problem since day one, is that it's such a niche product that it's not easy to just target. We do some advertising in certain magazines, but they're very specific magazines. So like there's an actual gear cutting magazine. So there's actually 2 or 3 of them. And so we advertise in those because those are so focused on gears, and that's what these machines are. And other times, like the craft brewer shows or whatever, they're super, super hyper focused on craft brewer industry, which we are a part of. So
and you have to be reaching the guy that's reading
you have to be
Gear Cutters magazine.
At the perfect time when he's
makes the decisions.
And exactly when he needs a new machine and he's ready to go ahead and step up from his manual machines to an automatic machine. And
right. I can't say any exposure that would hurt, though. You know what I mean? Because he might know someone that knows someone, or whatever it is. So, yeah, that's a rough one. I feel like most people that you ask, how do I do advertising? It's like, all right, Facebook, Twitter, Google AdWords.
Exactly,
but this is so different that the approach has to be different as well.
Like, we can't just put up a billboard.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
No, pointless.
Yeah. I'll sell your house for you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Right. I gotcha.
So that's kind of special for our industry. But, yeah, I think that's probably what we would do with $200,000.
Gotcha. All right, brother. That was 2 hours.
2 hours? Yeah. I was supposed to be at the farm 2 hours ago. I gotta go see some pigs.
Tell people the name of your company again, where they could find you. Not that they're going to call you, but
So I mean, if you're making small gears for whatever reason, check out our website. It's www.rotectools.com, which is ROTEC. So rotectools.com.
And you guys have like a Facebook or Twitter or any of that stuff? Yeah,
we do, but it's all linked from the website anyway, so you can see it there.
All right, brother. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you having me.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Yep.